Chapter 1589. To confess his real feeling 1. The night was cool as water. Bei Qining was emotionally tangled as he stood in the garden. With both hands crossed behind his back, he lifted up his head to look at the sky. Say it, for what matter did you call me over? Ziyan calmly appeared by his side. Today's Bei Qining was really interesting. He sent a letter into her room and invited her here to chat. Hiccup. He saw Ziyan looking at him with a dead serious expression. That pair of limpid, monochrome clear eyes were like a pure spring. They very cleanly looked at him, and Bei Qining couldn't say the words at the tip of his tongue. In the end, what did you want to say? So mysterious. If you have words, just say it quickly. I need to rush back to sleep. Ziyan yawned, turned around and wanted to leave. Hey, don't go. Bei Qining's hand grabbed Ziyan's arm, pulling her to a stop. With great difficulty, he had mulled over this feeling for such a long time. If Ziyan left, then wouldn't it all be lost? So say it. You should quickly say it. Humming and hawing, hesitating doesn't seem like your young master Bei Qin's nature. Ziyan patted Bei Qining's shoulder full of goodwill. Bei Qining felt, how could this be a confession? This clearly was the posture of good brothers. Okay? The mood he had brewed with great difficulty, with this pat by Ziyan, had been completely dispersed. Say it. Ziyan urged him. Oh, it's just that. Bei Qining, who always went through hundreds of flowers, was embarrassed like a shy little boy. His neck choked with air, his complexion somewhat red. Oh, Ziyan was puzzled. Her monochrome eyes were bright like the stars. Just that. Tonight's night scene is really beautiful. Bei Qining raised his head towards the sky, putting on an appreciating posture. Ziyan used the expression of looking at a crazy person to gaze at Bei Qining. In the middle of the night, you invited me out just for this? Perhaps he had a high fever? Ziyan thought of this, and in the next moment, she stood on tiptoes to check Bei Qining's forehead. Not warm or hot, just right. Didn't seem as if his brain was burned until it broke. Bei Qining's brows wrinkled as if it was tied in a knot. Did he really look like a person whose brain was burned until it broke? Humph humph. Say then, I'll just say it. Bei Qining arrogantly encouraged himself in his heart. Then you just say it. Ziyan unhappily shrugged her shoulders. Beginning of spring was cold. In the middle of the night, the wind was a little bit cold. Yen Bei Qining's tone had a sexy charm. But he had just said this nickname. And Ziyan immediately spurted out her laughter. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Ziyan covered her belly as she nearly fell to the ground from laughter. Bei Qining, tonight, did someone take over your body? Yen? Bei Qining had a helpless and depressed expression at this woman who wouldn't cooperate. This was the nth time he regretted signing that nobleman's agreement with Su Luo. On the agreement, it was clearly written that if he lost, he must confess to Ziyan in a night that had the best atmosphere. Moreover, he can't just carelessly confess, he must get the other party's response. Ziyan in this way undermined his plan. How could he continue the performance? Bei Qining gloomily scratched the back of his head. If you want to say it, how could he be so stupid? He clearly knew Su Luo. That girl's luck was extremely good. She had never lost a bet. How could he have so easily walked into her trap and was cheated by her? Finished silently cursing in his heart, Bei Qining once again secretly encouraged himself. Wasn't it just a confession? He was the young Aster Bei Qin that had a building of girls admiring him when he rode a horse across a bridge. How could he be stumped by this? As a result, Bei Qining took a deep breath. After mulling things over, he continued with the scene from before. Chapter 1590. To confess his real feeling 2. Yen, you look, how beautiful is tonight's scene, just like your peerlessly beautiful face. Closing his eyes, Bei Qining's appearance of being a distinguished and elegant young master quickly jumped out. Ziyan's face was red from choking back her laughter. But she was curious as to what other shocking words Bei Qining would say. So with great difficulty, she restrained her laughter and began to get into character in this play. Really? But don't you think Luo is much prettier than me? Ziyan lifted up her palm-sized little face. Her star-like eyes seemed to be washed clean by water, clear and moving. Although Luo is pretty, how could she reach a bit of your position in my heart? Bei Qining passionately grasped Ziyan's hand, eyes full of affectionate emotions that couldn't be contained. The words of love came out non-stop. You look at the hundreds of flowers that are blooming in this courtyard. How could they reach even 1% of you? Able to have younger sister Yen accompany me to appreciate the flowers and the full moon. Older brother Beichen feels that the wind blowing in my face has a sweet and delightful scent. As if I am lingering in paradise. Oh. Ziyan restrained her feeling of wanting to throw up, and turned her head away. Older brother Beichen. Damn. After straightening out her mood, Ziyan turned around. She had a puzzled to the bone expression. Her blood-red painted fingernails poked at Beichen Ying's chest. Older brother Beichen, in the end, what do you want to do? If I can be with younger sister Yen for the rest of my life as a pair, then how beautiful would it be? Younger sister Yen, how do you feel about it? That pair of eyes on Beichen Ying's face that was like stars continuously blinking, releasing an endless electric current. I feel. Dreaming would come a lot faster. Is teasing your old mother really fun? She had just finished speaking when Ziyan's fist smashed over. Beichen Ying's head flipped back, his chin almost dislocated. Su Luo couldn't bear to watch and covered her eyes. This Beichen Ying, if you're going to confess then confess, why be so sickeningly sappy? Look, aren't you asking to be beat up? Su Luo hiding in the flower bushes couldn't help but sigh. Looks like this time as a matchmaker, it will end with a defeat. Just when Su Luo was sighing helplessly, all of a sudden, Beichen Ying's body that was leaning back suddenly made a half-circle, abruptly throwing himself forward. Ziyan was just rubbing her tough-as-nails fist, and completely didn't notice Beichen Ying's body being thrown forward. When she realized it, everything was already too late. Bang! The two youthful figures directly fell backwards. Beichen Ying's body directly pressed Ziyan's underneath him. The two people's lips met. For eyes made contact, looking lifeless. The world seemed to have stopped at this moment. Su Luo's eyes were opened wide from surprise. Soon after, she looked towards Nangong Luyin. Just now, she clearly felt a fluctuation in the spirit force flying out from the side of her body. It very forcefully turned Beichen Ying around and changed him from going backwards to going forward. This kind of difficult maneuver, who else but the evildoer at her side could do it? Quickly go. Nangong Luyin didn't wait for Su Luo to question him carefully. He grabbed her and in a flash, their traces disappeared. Arrived at Stepping on Cloud's pavilion. Only now did Su Luo loudly laugh. Just now it was you, right? Didn't expect that you, as the silent one, but when you ought to make a move, would move, really great. Originally, she thought it would end in disappointment, but who knew Nangong Luyin would do something like this? The ending was completely reversed. And Nangong Luyin faintly responded and didn't say unnecessary words. Su Luo very naturally sat on his leg. Her jade-like arms wrapped around his snow-white neck. You are not the kind of person that meddles in other people's business. This time, why did you make a move? Is it because you also feel that Beichen Ying and Ziyan are well matched? Nangong Luyin gave a faint humph. The eyes on his handsome face were deep as the ocean and profoundly mysterious. Chapter 1591. To confess his real feeling 3. Say it, don't you think they are well matched? Su Luo counted on her fingers the degree to which they matched. You look here, whether it's appearance, family background, temperament, cultivation. From every aspect, they are extremely well matched. Just like a match made in heaven. Nangong Luyin patted Su Luo's head. The marked Beichen Ying must be sent out. What? A huge question mark appeared above Su Luo's head. What's this, saying the marked Beichen Ying must be sent out? Foolish girl. Nangong Luyin, in a long-suffering manner, rubbed Su Luo's head. He changed the topic to say, played enough? Such a dark cold night. Hurry to return so as not to catch a cold. Nangong Luyin extended out his jade-like fingers, helping Su Luo to straighten her collar and hair. He had a concentrated expression. His movements were gentle, as if his hand held the most precious treasure in the world. After carefully tidying her up, he then led Su Luo by the hand to walk back. Hey, you still haven't said, why must the marked Beichen Ying be sent out? Su Luo's heart was focused on getting an answer. Any man that covets you, even if it's Beichen Ying, it is still out of the question. Nangong Liuyun's tone was mild but had a trace of overbearingness, and wanting to vent his anger. It was strict and biting cold. Cough cough. Su Luo almost choked to death on her own saliva. That's right, if she could sense it, how could Nangong Liyun, with a perception that was 10 times better, not sense it? Did you overthink things? I think Bei Chening looked normal. Su Luo smilingly looked at him. I won't allow even a 1% possibility. Nangong Liuyun's reply was strong and dominating. Su Luo rolled her eyes in annoyance at him, and she quickly changed the topic. The topic of Nangong Liyun discussing other men was really too dangerous. Su Luo vowed that in the future, she would never step foot into this topic. Inside the garden, Ziyan and Bei Chenying's eyes stared at each other, as if the whole world had stopped at this moment. Ziyan was the first to react. With one move, she pushed Bei Chening away. Afterwards, she quickly crawled up. Bei Chening felt extremely awkward. He wanted to say something, but at the same time, not knowing where to start to explain. Bei Chening, look at the good thing you did. Ziyan, panting with anger, wiped away the traces at the corner of her mouth. With glaring round eyes, she said, Is this the stake you had bet with Luo Luo? Am I right? You actually used me as a betting stake. Under Ziyan's rage, Bei Chening felt helpless. In fact, the stake was to end when I confessed to you. Who knew it would end? Since it was only to confess, then why did you do it like this? Ziyan lifted Bei Chening up by the collar. Believe it or not, this great aunt will smash you with her fist again. I also don't know. It seemed if all of a sudden, someone pushed me from behind, making me pounce over, to crush down on you then. The more Bei Chening described it, the worse he made the matter. You shut up. Ziyan, panting in rage, once again wiped the traces at the corner of her mouth. This great aunt will remember you. Finished speaking, Ziyan took large strides and flew away. Seeing Ziyan running away, Bei Chenying's expression was complicated. He extended out his long slender fingers, touching the edge of his soft lips. In fact, that feeling just now was really pretty good. But in the end, who was the one that pushed him in the back? Luo Luo? Impossible, Luo Luo's strength wasn't that strong. Bei Chening scratched his head, still puzzled despite much thought. This night, was bound to be not peaceful. Just when Su Luo had fallen asleep for not long, all of a sudden, a strong sense of danger woke her up. Su Luo's eyelids shot open in an instant. Like the night pearl, her eyes shone brightly in the night. Suddenly, Su Luo's brows wrinkled, and her figure rolled quickly down from the bed onto the floor. Chapter 1592. To confess his real feeling for. At the same time, the dagger that glittered with frost appeared in the place Su Luo was at. There were actually assassins that came to kill her. This dagger came too fast and too suddenly, so fast that Su Luo almost couldn't react. Fortunately, her sharp perception of danger made her subconsciously move, and she rolled to the ground. Thus she avoided the strong killing move. At this moment, a faint shadow suddenly appeared inside the room. The dagger was lifted up high. That virtue image once again fiercely stabbed toward Su Luo's neck. His style was fast and accurate, sharp and cold, making it hard for people to react. Su Luo's pupil instantly tightened, reflecting the cold light from the dagger. Just at this critical moment, the dagger in Su Luo's hand suddenly blocked. Clang! An intense hissing sound of metal on metal continued without an end. Dagger and dagger blocked each other, colliding together. Momentarily, sparks flew in all directions. That virtual image didn't retreat, and instead pushed forward. And Su Luo's figure was continually pressured to make her move back. In the end, with a thump sound, Su Luo's back was against the firm wall. And at this moment, before her was the edge of the blade with a murderous aura. There was also that pair of eyes, flashing with bloodthirsty light. The edge of the blade stabbed toward Su Luo's eyes. The moonlight shot into the room through the window, scattering in a clean room. Using the moonlight, Su Luo stared rigidly at this virtual image that was shrouded in shadows. She was certain that she had never seen the person in front of her. But she didn't understand why the opponent would look for her. Moreover, every step used was a killing move that had no emotions. The edge of the blade came closer and closer to Su Luo's eyes. 3 inches, 2 inches, 1 inch. If the edge of the blade stabbed in, then Su Luo's life would be lost. Although Su Luo's dagger was blocking him, but she couldn't block the opponent's strength. How was it that Nangong Luoyuan still wasn't here? Su Luo's thoughts were somewhat anxious. Just at this tense moment, Su Luo could hear faintly that not far away came a burst of strong spirit force fluctuations, and the sound of weapons colliding. Looks like the opponent wasn't only here to kill her. They even dispatched people to attack Nangong Luoyuan. And more than likely, it wasn't just one person besieging Nangong Luoyuan. Moreover, their strength was much stronger. Su Luo's face was like condensed frost, grave and cold. She knew now that she couldn't rely on anyone. She could only rely on herself. Just when the edge of the blade was about to stab into Su Luo's eyes, whoosh, a cold sword flew out from Su Luo's sleeves. With a hiss, it stabbed towards the virtual image. Chungying's sword at the critical moment automatically flew out, protecting its master. Once Chungying's sword appeared, it ruthlessly stabbed into the virtual image. But what surprised Su Luo was that Chungying's sword actually flew through that virtual image. Afterwards, the virtual image once again condensed into a body. Chungying's sword seemed to have no effect on the virtual image. How could it be like this? Was the person in front of their eyes a person or a ghost? Su Luo's eyes narrowed dangerously as she coldly watched her opponent. In the end, who are you? The opponent's mouth hidden in the shadow hooked up sinisterly, eyes shooting out a strange light that terrified people. Encountering his gaze, Su Luo's mind was dizzy for a split second. Just at this moment, another figure flew over, similarly dressed in a black cloak that enveloped her from head to toe. Her speed was very fast, so fast as to leave one image after another. At this moment, her hand lifted up a black sword, with the sword pointing direct at Su Luo's head. Unable to avoid it. Quickly wake up. Inside her space, the little stone exploded out with an angry shout. At the same time, his figure quickly flew out, both hands forming fists, forcefully meeting that sharp sword. The black sword's light was red hot, full of murderous spirit. The little stone, dressed in Elder Ancestor Mo's body, his fist was like iron, quickly exploding towards the sword point. Chapter 1593. To confess his real feeling 5. The original cold sword shooting towards Su Luo's head was smashed aside. Bang! A lock of Su Luo's hair was cut off. But fortunately the little stone moved, so Su Luo's head now was still safely on her shoulders. Afterwards, this black shadow frowned, then was pursued by Little Stone. The two figures rushed to the roof and got caught up in their battle. There wasn't that much difference between the two people's strength. They were almost on par. Therefore momentarily, it was difficult to determine the outcome of this battle. Now Su Luo had already become clear-headed after being dazed. Now, she felt that her back was cold. You know absorb soul technique? Su Luo's brows tightened. The black shadow gave a strange smile. Soon after, the sword moved fast and quickly stabbed towards Su Luo's forehead. The opponent's move was meant to be fatal. Su Luo used spirit dance steps and quickly slipped away. Her figure was fast like afterimages. There were many shadows in the air. But even like this, Su Luo's arm was still hit. Specks of blood droplets flowed from her jade-like arms. Su Luo estimated that the opponent's strength wasn't that different from Elder Ancestor Mo's. Ought to be at commander rank. What made Su Luo feel at a loss was that now, her strength was only at the 9th rank. Faced with an expert at the commander rank, she was unable to do anything. The black shadow saw that the sword could not stab Su Luo, and soon after, he coldly smiled. His hands flipped and the cold sword returned to the position on his shoulder. After that, one only saw his hands move fast as lightning, and quickly, a white-colored ball formed. The spirit force of the white ball became stronger and stronger. In the end, it released a dazzling red-hot light. A trace of astonishment flashed through Su Luo's eyes. The power of this ball of light seemed to reach the level of destroying the sky and wiping out the earth. She simply couldn't stop it. Su Luo turned and flew out the window, quickly running in the direction Master was. But the transparent ball of white light was like a maggot, suddenly attacking towards her back. Su Luo was fast but the ball of light was faster. Su Luo flashed by, but the ball of light seemed to be locked onto her, and accurately followed. Nangong Luoyuan seemed to sense it, between battling, he lifted his head to look at her. And suddenly, saw a scene that made the hair on his body rise up. He watched as an extremely strong ball of light chased behind Su Luo, coming closer and closer. A trace of astonishment and fear flashed through his eyes. No, the spirit force on Nangong Liuyun's body burst out. Ignoring the cold sword stabbing towards his back, with flying speed, he rushed towards Su Luo. Swoosh! The cold sword entered his back, with only the handle left outside. But to Nangong Liyun, it was only like a bee sting. He turned his hand and withdrew that long sword, specks of blood coming out. Then he immediately launched the cold sword backwards and shot it towards its original master. Nangong Liuyun's hand formed seals, and intercepted that white-colored ball of light in midair. Bang! The two transparent balls exploded in midair. Suddenly, fire shot in all directions, and the surrounding air fluctuated violently. Su Luo's distance to the place where the ball of light exploded really was too close. It almost stuck to her back when it exploded. At this moment, Su Luo's entire person was thrown up high into midair by the waves and very quickly fall down. If the black-clothed person's white ball of light entered Su Luo's body, then for certain today, her life would have been lost. But at the critical moment, Nangong Liyun moved and Su Luo also used nothingness of space to envelope herself, so she was somewhat protected. Luo Luo. Nangong Liyun's face turned pale, howling as if his heart and lungs were torn. He flew up and steadily caught the falling Su Luo. When landing, both of his arms were like iron pillars and his figure was steady as Mount Tai, like the safest harbor. Chapter 1594. To confess his real feeling, 6. But the Su Luo being hugged completely didn't know that the back of Nangong Liuyun's white robe was dyed full of blood. The blood rushed out like spring water. In an instant, the white clothes seemed to have been dredged up from a river of blood, full of a glaring red. But Nangong Liyun simply didn't feel the pain, and also didn't remember he was wounded. His pale face burst out into a smile. Softly gazing at Su Luo, he muttered, Fortunately. Heaven's blessing. His Luo girl was still alive. I'm okay. Su Luo suppressed the blood and chi rolling over in her chest. If it weren't for Nangong Liyun being in front of her, she would definitely spit out 3 large mouthfuls of blood. But in order to not let Nangong Liyun worry, so Su Luo silently endured it. Fortunately, Master helped her to develop the muscles and boost the marrow several days ago, cultivating her body's strength to 9th rank. Her ability to fight and resist attacks also became a lot stronger. Otherwise, if she wasn't shot to death by that ball of light from the black-clothed person, she would also have died when the 2 balls of light violently exploded. After all, Nangong Liyun and that black-clothed person were both at the commander rank, and both were also going all out in this one move. Able to save her little life really was something to rejoice over. Nangong Liyun tenderly rubbed Su Luo's hair. Afterwards he smiled at her. Be obedient, go up the tree and watch the play. I'll take care of things here. Nangong Liyun slowly stood up and looked at that black-clothed person. His eyes smiled in a sinister and enchanting manner. But the more he smiled, the stronger the murderous aura in his eyes. Meeting Nangong Liuyun's sinister and extremely ruthless gaze, a cold air started to faintly rise up in that black-clothed person's heart. Similar to seeing the azura that came from hell, he subconsciously fell back a step. But very quickly he became aware that something was not right and soon after, took a step forward. But just such a tiny movement was able to declare a win or loss. One front, one back, the 2 figures quickly rushed towards Nangong Liyun. Nangong Liuyun's eyes narrowed dangerously. He flipped his palm, with lightning in his left hand and water in his right hand. Just when the 2 people's long swords were pressuring closer, Nangong Liuyun's alluring red lips hooked into a sinister and strange cold smile. Nangong Liuyun's left hand and right hand, ball of lightning and ball of water. In an instant, the 2 became one. The water lightning shot fire sparks in all directions, with sizzling sounds. The lightning flashed and thunder sounded, rushing towards the heavens. Go die. Nangong Liuyun sinisterly exploded out with a scathing murderous aura. Dare to harm his Luo girl. These people must all die. The lightning exploded. It divided into fire snakes. One in the front, one in the back, It attacked the two black figures. The element-fused strength increased by several fold. Let alone to say it was a mix of lightning and water element? These two elements fused simply redoubled in power. It was simply not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The two black-clothed people exchanged a glance, a strange astonished expression flashing through their eyes. Two people quickly flew backwards, prepared to escape without a trace. Because their perception of danger told them, this attack, they completely couldn't block it. This was a killing move that wouldn't be dispersed. Puff! The two dragon snakes followed relentlessly, like maggots that drilled into the bone. It attacked and pursued as if locked onto their target. In the end, it entered those two black people's hearts. At this moment, Nangong Liuyun's figure swayed. Lightning and water element fusion. This killing move was called 100 Tons Thunderous Lightning. This move's destructive power was very strong, but after using this move, all of the spirit force in his body would have been sucked out, so he wouldn't even have the strength to stand up. Su Luo, seeing his condition, immediately rushed up to support his body. But at this moment, she discovered her hands were sticky, then looking at it carefully it was actually all bloodstains. Chapter 1595. To interrogate out the truth 1. You what's? Su Luo almost lost her head from fear. Her hand and foot was ice cold from being so nervous. Nangong Liuyun was just about to speak, but Su Luo had already stuffed an emperor-ranked spirit medicine into his mouth. Quickly swallow it. The effect of an emperor-level spirit medicine was very good. Very quickly, the wound formed a scab. Nangong Liuyun's mouth that had a trace of bloodstain hooked into a demonically alluring smile. He lowered his head to console Su Luo's nervous expression, and in a soft tone said, "Don't worry." But before he could finish speaking, suddenly, another two shadowy figures that gave off afterimages appeared behind Nangong Liuyun and Su Luo. Nangong Liuyun's complexion suddenly changed. Careful! Nangong Liuyun used his last bit of strength to tightly hug Su Luo to his chest. Holding her, he rolled on the spot, avoiding the tip of the dagger that glittered like frost. The two black-clothed people looked in the direction they had lost their target, and exchanged a glance. Their malicious eyes were narrowed. Soon after, they quickly stabbed towards the two people on the ground. Su Luo wanted to get up, but don't know why. Nangong Liuyun's grip was so tight like iron pliers confining her, making it hard for Su Luo to budge. She was being steadily protected under his body. No. Su Luo felt that ice-cold poisonous snake-like aura approaching through the shadow on the floor. She knew the black-clothed people had lifted their daggers, and were just about to stab down at fatal parts of Nangong Liuyun's body. Su Luo's heart was ice-cold. She really didn't understand where so many commander-ranked experts popped out from. And every one of them was an expert at assassination. They were experts at speed like hidden snakes that were hard to seize and ruthless like falcons. If one must die among the two of them, then let her have this opportunity. A firm and determined expression flashed through Su Luo's eyes. Just at this critical moment, Su Luo suddenly flipped over and swapped places with Nangong Liuyun, protecting him under her body. Nangong Liuyun had used 100 Tons Thunderous Lightning, that finishing move. It was as if all the spirit force had been sucked dry from his body. He couldn't even squeeze out a trace, let alone to say he was already seriously injured. Just now, he pressed Su Luo under him based on instinct, but just when Su Luo exploded out, he was helpless. Su Luo's body covered Nangong Liuyun's back, protecting his vital parts. But her own back was exposed to the dagger of the black-clothed people. The two black-clothed people gave a sinister and strange laugh, the dagger in their hands lifting up high and heavily landing down. If Su Luo was stabbed by the dagger, then she would definitely die. Just at this critical moment, suddenly, a white figure appeared on the horizon. This figure's white clothes floated with a haunting manner, giving people the feeling of pure clean holiness that wasn't contaminated with dust. At the same time, there was that impossibly strong deterrence force. Grandmaster Rong Yin was in midair. At this moment his eyes were narrowed, his wide robes moved as if sweeping aside all the dust. PFF-2 wind auras shot directly towards those two black-clothed people with daggers lifted up high. That two wind auras didn't seem to be that fast. But it seemed as if the two black-clothed people's figures were fixed in place, motionless like statues. As a result, the two wind auras, with a plop sound, entered into each of the acupuncture points of the black-clothed people. Soon after, everything became tranquil. Now, besides the sound of fighting between the little stone and his opponent, it was terrifyingly quiet all around. The two black-clothed people stared at each other in disbelief. Their eyes opened wide like copper bells. They silently turned around and looked towards Grandmaster Rongyun's direction. Soon after, their figures stiffly fell backward, giving off a clear sound of an object hitting the ground. Chapter 1596. To interrogate out the truth. 2. They could never understand that in this world, there would exist a strong expert that would kill them with one move? But reality was just this ironic. They were openly and wantonly brash, but couldn't block one move from Grandmaster Rongyun. Su Luo felt that the pain she imagined hadn't come, and her tightly closed eyes slowly opened. Soon after, she was very much nicely surprised. Master. Su Luo was extremely happy. You this girl, causing trouble everywhere. Grandmaster Rongyun exasperatedly said and rubbed Su Luo's head. It's not like I asked these black-clothed people to come. I don't have that kind of ability to have commander-ranked experts to chase and kill me. Su Luo stuck out her tongue. Really? In the night air, Grandmaster Rongyun's voice was faint with a somewhat unclear meaning. Su Luo and her master exchanged several sentences. Then their attention returned to Nangong Liuyun's body. At this moment, Nangong Liuyun was already sitting down with legs crossed, both eyes tightly closed, having entered the state of cultivation. After cultivating for a while, Nangong Liuyun slowly opened his eyes. He was just about to speak when Grandmaster Rongyun waved his hand, indicating that now was not the time. At this time, the little stone and that black-clothed person's battle had gradually entered the end. In the end, it was still the little stone whose cultivation was stronger, and he had more experience. Finally, he used showing weakness to tempt the enemy. When the black-clothed person exposed a hole in his defense, he fiercely kicked the black-clothed person's chest. The black-clothed person's body was kicked into the air, and that person looked around at the surrounding situation. She discovered that the 4 young companions that followed her, without exception, were all lying on the ground. She did her best to endure the blood rolling up, and did a flip in mid-air, and turned to try disappear without a trace. But how could Grandmaster Rongyun let her escape? That white light exploded from that white jade-like palm, as if the center of the palm had a strong attractive force. A light beam appeared on the back of the black-clothed person. Afterwards, she couldn't control her own body and continuously moved in reverse. If one could see her face, they would know now how panicked she was compared to her normal ice-cold zombie-like expression. The black-clothed person was unwillingly sucked in by Grandmaster Rongyun's palm. Grandmaster Rongyun pinched her neck, another palm slapped over, and all the spirit force on her body was completely obliterated. Soon after, Grandmaster Rongyun tossed this feeble body to Su Luo. In a clear tone he said, "Bring her to the side and interrogate her well." Su Luo looked at the other 2 black-clothed figures laying on the ground, and the corner of her mouth hooked into a smile. She very quickly lifted up that black-clothed woman and ran out. She knew of Master's interrogation skills. To split these people and interrogate them separately, then compare the results, they would be able to tell which of the information from the interrogation was true or false. At this time, Bei Qining and Zi Yin also rushed over quickly. Grandmaster Rongyun straightforwardly used them too, lifted up the other 2 black-clothed people, and let them interrogate. Su Luo and the others arrived at a courtyard in the back. In passing, they tossed the black-clothed woman on the ground. With both hands at her hips, the corner of her lips lifted up into a mocking cold smile. Cough, 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 the black-clothed woman coughed nonstop, as if she was about to cough up her lungs. Now her entire body's cultivation was destroyed. She was better off dead. Her will to beg to live was very weak. Just be straightforward, kill me. The black-clothed woman leaned against a pillar and gasped for breath. Before, in her eyes, Su Luo was merely an insignificant 9th-ranked ant-like existence that could be destroyed with a lift of her hand. But now, fortunes had changed and she was actually interrogating her. How could the proud and arrogant black-clothed woman endure this kind of insult? Su Luo's body leisurely squatted down. her gaze at the same level as the black-clothed woman. Chapter 1597. To interrogate out the truth 3. That pair of monochrome eyes flickered with strict light. Very quickly, a hidden and sly dagger appeared in her hand. The dagger gave off an ice-cold light. Quickly kill me. The black-clothed female stuck out her neck and chest with her head raised. Her face was full of arrogance. Is this called fervent to meet death? Su Luo was all smiles as she lifted a brow. You want to die straightforwardly, but this young lady won't allow you to get your wish. What do you want to do? The black-clothed female arrogantly humphed. She used a despising and looking down expression to look at Su Luo. Reduced to a prisoner of someone below but still so arrogant. This isn't right. Oh. Su Luo's dagger streaked across her face. Suddenly, the black cloth on her face came off. This was an ice-cold beautiful face. A delicate and goose-egg-shaped face. Skin was white and fine as beautiful china. Eyebrows were long like calm autumn waters. The eyes were clear and crystalline, like water that gleamed with reflected light, and with specks like the stars. But Su Luo was very certain this was the first time she saw this face. Who are you guys in the end? Su Luo's dagger waved in front of her snow-white delicate neck very calmly. Humph! The black-clothed female stick out her neck, eyes closed, fervent to meet death. She didn't make a second choice. Just want to die so much. Su Luo taunted and laughed lightly several times. She knew that if she wanted to get something from asking this black-clothed female, first, she must break her arrogance and self-esteem. There once was a delicate and beautiful girl like you. But she was very unfortunate in offending me. Su Luo's ice-cold dagger stuck to the black-clothed female's cheek. Her tone was soft and cheerful as she said, You know, under the bridges inside the city, what it doesn't lack the most are dirty and ugly beggars. The black-clothed woman was still like a rooster with her chest stuck out valiantly and full of spirit. There wasn't a bit of change in her expression, as if the story Su Luo was speaking of didn't attract a person's attention at all. Afterwards, one night, on a street corner, staged a scene of a beggar raping the young lady. Su Luo's voice was soft, light as if like cotton or a willow fluttering about in the air. In the dark night, it gave off an indescribable, deeply cold strangeness. Sneer. That black-clothed female coldly laughed. She felt this was simply impossible. How can it be impossible? Su Luo calmly told her the truth. Your intelligence report certainly told you Jade Lakesley family's fairy is pregnant, right? The black-clothed female's eyes shrank in an instant. Staring fixedly at Su Luo in the night, it burst out with a gloomy and cold light. Looks like you guessed it. That's right. The baby in Li Yaoyao's belly is the spawn of the ugly, nauseating beggar that hadn't bathed once in 10 years, with maggots crawling on his body. Su Luo's mouth hooked up, revealing a row of white teeth. But in the black-clothed female's eyes, it's as if she had seen a ghost. Her body subconsciously shuddered. Li Yaoyao, how could? Then now do you want to be the same as Li Yaoyao? Su Luo unhurriedly pulled over a stool and gracefully sat down in front of her, fiddling with her dagger in a bored manner. This is impossible. The black-clothed female finally admitted she was scared. Young lady, if you don't believe me, then I have no way. Su Luo smiled faintly. Li Yaoyao only suffered one night of dishonor. But if you don't spit out the truth, you would suffer this torment every day and every night. How about letting us have you try it? No. You this fiend. Fiend. The black-clothed female curled up and crawled backwards. She never imagined this young lady would be so vicious. She believed that this young lady would definitely do what she said. Chapter 1598. To interrogate out the truth 4. Now, the black-clothed female finally knew how vicious this extremely beautiful woman in front of her was. She was prepared to ruthlessly trample on her self-esteem. Of course, if you answer what I asked, this young lady can let you die with dignity. Su Luo serenely looked at her. I can die right now. The black-clothed female turned and rushed to knock her head against a pillar. Su Luo didn't block her and just like that, with a ghost of smile, looked at her faintly. Because the black-clothed female lost all her spirit force, her body was completely powerless. She couldn't even sit still. How could she still have the strength to commit suicide by knocking against a wall? Su Luo stood up, looking down at her from above. Her eyes were full of ice. I heard the body of a person that just died is still warm. It may be assumed that those beggars under the bridge who haven't had for a long time also wouldn't ignore it. There aren't just only 1 or 2 beggars over there. Ah. You this devil. Devil. I want to kill you. The black-clothed female never expected that Su Luo, who was also a girl, could say such things without blushing and gasping for air. Her matter-of-fact tone let her know that Su Luo's methods were even more cruel than this assassin's. I will count from 1 to 3. As to the final result, it just depends on your choice. In any case, you still have 2 companions that didn't die. Su Luo's mouth hooked into a sinister smile, not giving the black-clothed female time to think. She immediately started to count. 1. The black-clothed female sank into despair and sorrow, her expression hesitant. 2. Su Luo's mouth hooked into a smile that wasn't a smile, staring at her with an ice-cold gaze. She actually released a strong, powerful pressure. Now, Su Luo already had the strength of a 9th rank. To the black-clothed female that didn't have a bit of spirit strength, this pressure was like a mountain, heavily smashing on her back. It crushed her until she almost started to vomit out blood. She lifted her head and looked at Su Luo's pair of monochrome eyes that was full of malice. Su Luo's red lips opened slightly, however. Before she could say anything, the black-clothed female loudly screeched, I'll talk. I'll talk. Under Su Luo's pressure and threat psychology, she nearly collapsed. If Su Luo sliced her meat and let out her blood, she could face it without a change in expression, dying to defend the secret. But Su Luo actually selected the side she was most frightened of. So she had no choice but to surrender under Su Luo's tyrannical abuse. In any case, she firmly believed that no matter how talented Su Luo was, even if she knew more, she still couldn't move a hair's breadth of her organization. You can start talking, but before you say anything, this young lady will first remind you. Su Luo faintly smiled. Your other 2 companions have also been taken away to be interrogated separately. If at that time, it was verified the words you said are false. Su Luo gave the black-clothed female a profoundly mysterious expression. The black-clothed female's eyes, in an instant, became stiff. Soon after, she stared at Su Luo coldly. What do you want to know? Your name. Iwuchi-wan. Why are you called Iwuchi? An insight flashed through Su Luo's mind, asking this question. She just wanted to confirm her guess. In the organization, I'm ranked at the 157 spot. The black-clothed female's brows were wrinkled deeply. This wasn't a secret, saying it shouldn't be a problem. When Su Luo heard this, her expression stiffened slightly. This black-clothed female could fight evenly with elder ancestor Mo. And she was actually only ranked at 157 in her organization? Wasn't this a bit too funny? Were there so many strong experts in this world? Before this female was wasted, her strength was at commander level. That's to say, in her organization, at least it had 157 experts at the commander level. Moreover, this didn't include those elders and high-ranking personnel. 1. Iwuchi. The Chinese the words phonetically sounds like the number 157. The character themselves doesn't mean 157, but sounds like the characters for 157. Now you know why Su Luo asked the question. Chapter 1599. To interrogate out the truth. 5. Su Luo's mouth was very dry. With great difficulty, she swallowed a mouthful of saliva. To say truthfully, the normally calm her was still stunned by this truth. At least in her understanding, every powerful head of the top 10 family was merely at the commander rank. Those elder ancestors were only at the saint rank. In your organization, how many people are at or above the saint level? Su Luo concealed the shock in her eyes and indifferently asked. 50 people are above. The black-clothed female's mouth hooked into a proud smile. Therefore, even if you know the organization's information, it's still useless. In this world, you guys simply can't contend against the organization. 50 people? Also above? Su Luo had an urge to face the heavens and spit out blood. That was to say, There were at least 50 people at the level of Elder Ancestor Mo, this expert at the summit. Su Luo took a deep breath and suppressed down this news that would shock people. The corner of her mouth slowly hooked into a cold mocking smile. If you dare to tell a lie, you know the consequences. Sneer, believe it or not, it's up to you. The black-clothed female's gaze was ice-cold. If you dare to dishonor me, the organization absolutely won't let you off. Does your organization have a name? Su Luo non-committally raised an eyebrow. Guaci. When the black-clothed female mentioned these two words, her eyes gave off light. It was very clear that she was sincerely proud of this name. When Su Luo heard these two words, her heart suddenly was jolted. Although she already thought of this possibility, when this young lady said the truth out loud, it still stunned her. Guaci, Guaci. This name wasn't the first time Su Luo heard it being mentioned. At that time in Western Jin, the words the old emperor said to her were still vivid in her mind. When mentioning these two words, he, as the monarch who ruled over the people, was so nervous, furtive, afraid and frightened. He said Northern Mo's royal family was annihilated in one night by Guaci, to disappear in history. Master said, the prince of Northern Mo's royal family took liberties with her mother, and someone undertook the task to annihilate Northern Mo royal family in one night. That was to say, at that time, the people that annihilated Northern Mo's royal family was Guaci, this organization. Guaci, such a terrifying existence. Why kill me? Su Luo stared at the black-clothed female indifferently. Her gaze flashed with a cold light, like two ice-cold and deeply chilly sharp knives that were ruthlessly tossed towards the black-clothed female. The black-clothed female bit her lip and turned her face away. Don't want to say it? Su Luo squatted down, the dagger waving over the black-clothed female's face. Then I want to dig out your eyes, cut off your nose, chop off your ears. Then maybe you'll talk, right? You want to kill, then kill. Why waste words? The black-clothed female, panting in rage, glared at Su Luo. Want to infuriate me so I can kill you with one blow? So death solves all problems? I think you probably forgot those beggars are very interested in. Moreover, even if I dig out your eyes, cut off your nose, chop off your ears, I would still toss you for the beggars to use. Su Luo's words very ruthlessly pinched out the black-clothed female's hope. You. Talk. Su Luo calmly sat on the chair, unhurriedly raising her chin, watching her with a ghost of a smile. Talk then talk. The black-clothed female gave a cold humph. Because of Su Qing. Su Qing. Su Luo frowned deeply. What does this have to do with Su Qing? Last time, when she and Su Qing had that life and death duel, she was still at 5th rank. But this time's meeting, Su Luo had exploded up to 9th rank. This was a very astonishing matter. Could it be that the first time Su Qing disappeared had something to do with Guaci, this organization? Chapter 1600. To interrogate out the truth 6. Su Qing had another name called Wu Bear. 1. The black-clothed female proudly and provocatively slanted a glance at Su Luo. Wu Bear? 582? Could it be that Su Qing, in Guaci, this organization, was only ranked at 582? Su Luo was almost shocked until she became stupid from the truth that came in succession. Su Qing's strength wasn't bad. If during the roaming dragon list competition, her luck wasn't so bad as to encounter her, Su Qing could steadily enter the top 10. But when she entered Guaci, this organization, she was only ranked at 582. Su Qing's innate talent was very lacking, and was promoted to 9th rank by force in order to kill you. It's a pity she failed. The black-clothed female said as she smiled coldly. Only to avenge Su Qing, you guys would dispatch 5 commander-ranked assassins? In any case, Su Luo didn't believe it. Anyway, it's just like this. The black-clothed female bit her teeth and refused to say more. Then that's to say the target of you guys' assassination this time is me, right? Su Luo's eyes were a remote and deep cold. Without a doubt, that's right. No one purchased your services to kill people? No. Is your head male or female? In the end, Su Luo asked a question that didn't seem to have any relationship to anything, but was a very important question to her. At that time on the battle stage, Why would that person save Su Qing? Even the black-clothed female looked down on Su Qing's talent. In Wuxia, who would attach much importance to Su Qing. Then thinking in another direction, if the person who saved Su Qing's goal wasn't Su Luo, but rather it was her, Su Luo's brows furrowed deeply, because the more she thought, the more she felt this had a greater probability. But Su Luo once again sank into deep doubt and unresolved puzzle. According to Western Jin older emperor's account, at that time, didn't that mysterious male have a good relationship with mother? Why would the current Wuxia have her as a target of assassination? Moreover, at that time, Master placed her as an infant to be raised in Su manner. He also used alter the appearance to change the reflection technique on her. Did this have an inseparable relationship with the Wuxia organization? If the leader behind the scenes of Wuxia now is a woman, then this scene of targeting her for assassination would be very easy to explain. But the black-clothed female's replay made Su Luo lose hope. How could it be a woman? Are you insulting Wuxia? The black-clothed female glowered at her until her eyes were round. It's a male? Was it still the mysterious male from back then? It didn't seem like it. At that time, those males that liked mother, such as Master, such as Purgatory City Master, all took very good care of her. How could he dispatch people to come kill her? Su Luo remained puzzled after much thought. Finished asking? The black-clothed female's cold voice came. Su Luo gloomily glared at this female. She might as well have not asked. The news that she interrogated out were all extremely bad news to her. There was no good news. Su Luo lifted her head, lifted up the black-clothed female, and placed her back in the original place. But Su Luo had just walked by the corner when she saw Nangong Luyan reclining against a deep red pilar. He gazed deeply at her. Under the moonlight, his extremely handsome face became even more alluring and demonically charming, giving off an attractive force that made people suffocate. That pair of beautiful eyes were deep as the vast sea, profoundly mysterious, unable to see clearly into the depths. Very clearly, he had heard everything of her and the black-clothed female's conversation. Su Luo originally didn't feel it would matter. But Su Luo suddenly recalled her using Li Yaoyao's matter to threaten the black-clothed female. Her heart couldn't help but tighten. Li Yaoyao had that kind of ending, only had herself to blame. She didn't do anything, but Su Luo lifted her eyes to look at Nangong Luyan and wanted to say something, but found that her throat was pinched. She couldn't say a word. One Wu Bear. Yep, you guys guessed it, although the Chinese characters is not the same for 582, but phonically it sounds like 582. Chapter 1601. Crisis was lifted. 1. Su Luo started to talk softly but couldn't continue. Nangong Luyan slowly walked toward Su Luo. At this moment, his fine ink-like hair poured down in torrents around his head, alluring and charming. The sleeves of his wide robe made from precious gold thread drifted in the wind. Every tiny movement he made showed his nobility, like a banished immortal that hadn't touched the mundane world. You had no choice but to say Nangong Luyan had domineeringness and strength, at the same time, possessed a sex appeal that would make one give up their lives. Nangong Luyan unhurriedly walked to in front of Su Luo. From high above, he calmly looked down at Su Luo, who was a head shorter than him. In the pitch-black night, his gaze was dark and deep, profoundly mysterious. Su Luo stared blankly. She couldn't say a word. The black-clothed female on the side couldn't help but rejoice in others' misfortune. This fiend-like female, just now was threatening her, intimidating her. Now having everything heard by her sweetheart. As a man, they would all loathe this kind of female that had a snake-like heart, right? Now, it wasn't even necessary to mention how happy the black-clothed female's heart was. Her gaze unblinkingly moved from Nangong Luoyun's to Su Luo's face, looking forward to the great play that would follow. The atmosphere all around became nervous and strange. Nangong Luoyun's noble chin that was stretched taut suddenly loosened. His long and snow-white finger hooked Su Luo's nose. You this naughty foolish girl. Ha! Su Luo was almost struck dumb. She was waiting for him to be disdainful of her for a period. In the blink of an eye, he was not going to scold her? She just said she personally harmed Li Yaoyao, and not all the facts of the matter. It was not only Su Luo who was shocked. that black-clothed female also felt that it was completely incomprehensible. This was not going to be angry. Ha? Nangong Liuyun's long fingers flicked Su Luo's forehead. You are not angry? Su Luo looked at him in disbelief. Why get angry? Nangong Luyun looked at her with puzzlement. That pair of star-like eyes seemed not to understand. Li Yaoyao's matter Su Luo very kindly reminded him. Although her aftermath wasn't something I directly brought about, only, it had some indirect relationship to me. Besides, after all, you guys formerly had. There weren't any former things. Nangong Liuyun's snow-white jade-like finger was placed on Su Luo's red lips. His eyes were extremely beautiful and deep, determinately gazing at her, full of love, adoration and domineeringness. No matter what you do to her, I will always stand on your side. Don't tell me I need to tell this to you once more? This kind of as a matter of course defense of her made Su Luo's heart feel like cotton floating about, extremely blessed. Seeing Su Luo's happy expression, Nangong Luyun unhappily held her hand. In the end, what are you, this girl, worried about? If it weren't for last time that she was lucky and ran away quickly, she would have already died in my hands. You still think I would do something for her? That's right, oh. Su Luo suddenly recalled that matter. At that time, in the last challenge of the 9 different palace halls, Li Yaoyao had learned of Su Luo's secret. Nangong Luyun wanted to kill her to prevent her from divulging the secret. Who would have known that she had a teleport stone in her hand and escaped death? In the future, these things just let me do it, to avoid dirtying your hand. Nangong Luyun stroked Su Luo's pair of pure white as jade hands, and the slender, sculpted fingers. Her star-like eyes had tenderness and love. Su Luo was so moved that she was simply a mess. Now, the most depressed was the black-clothed female that had been tossed to the ground. She was just preparing to watch a good play, just taking joy in others' misfortune, expecting to see Su Luo being slapped and scolded for a while. The result, Don't say thunder and rain. The man in front of her eyes not only didn't blame Su Luo, instead, he was rushing to grab the things to help her do it. Had this world gone crazy? Chapter 1602. Crisis was lifted, too. This black-clothed female, because of excitement, her breathing became a bit rushed. But just this bit let her suffer the calamity of death. Finished the interrogation? Nangong Luyun frowned and looked at that female on the ground in a bad mood. Yes, interrogated out a bit of information. Su Luo's jet-black eyes gave off a shallow light like obsidian, flashing with light as she looked at Nangong Luyun. Her eyes bubbling forth with affection, and being emotionally moved. Right now, she was still immersed in the being touched feeling from just now. Since it's already interrogated out, then it's not necessary for her to exist. Nangong Luyun waved his hand. A thread of fear flashed through this black-clothed female's eyes. Soon after, she silently closed her eyes to sleep for eternity. With regards to people who assassinated Su Luo, Nangong Luyun would never be lenient. Moreover, don't think he didn't know. Before this black-clothed female's eyes flashed through with a rejoicing in others' misfortune expression. At this moment, Bai Chen-ing and Zi Yan, lifting the other people, returned. Unfortunately for the other 2 guys. One had all his forelimbs cut off, everything was cut off below the abdomen. The whole person was cut into halves, on the ground, doing his final death struggle. On his side stood Bai Chen-ing, whose whole body was splashed with blood. The other black-clothed person wasn't much better off. Although his limbs were not cut off, his face was completely destroyed. The blood flowing out of both eyes couldn't be stopped. The entire face was badly mangled. It looked really disgusting and terrifying. These 2 were commander rank experts. Now they were prisoners of people of lower strength, to be trampled on like ants. After comparing the information they interrogated out, they found the information of them being from Guaci organization wasn't fake. After all, the 3 were separately interrogated. Whether it was true or false was obvious. So they weren't lying when answering this question. After dispatching these 2 people, all of them sunk into deep contemplation. Everyone present all used an overcast and pitying expression to steal glances at Su Luo. The dead leaves quietly floated down. The atmosphere was desolate and sad. Don't look at me with such a sympathetic gaze. I haven't died yet, okay? Su Luo had no choice but to sigh. Being targeted by Guixi, isn't that certain death? Bei Qining stuck out his tongue. Nangong Liuyun's expression was cold. His gaze was like an ice sword as it slanted across Bei Qining. Oh! Bei Qining subconsciously used both hands to cover his crow's mouth. Both eyes looked pitiful, a very stupid and cute expression. Ziyan sent an extremely helpless glance at Bei Qining, silently turning her face away. This stupid, cute youth she really didn't know. Words are coarse, but not coarse. Being targeted by Guixi, indeed. The always calm and indifferent as water Grandmaster Rong Yun that always used a beautiful to look at everyone. This was the first time. A trace of worry appeared on his thick sword-like brows. Master. Su Luo recalled what the black-clothed female said of the situation within the organization of Guixi. She had no confidence from the bottom of her heart. Based on the black-clothed female's strength at the commander rank, in Guixi, she was only ranked at 157. But this kind of black-clothed female coming out to kill her was simply no effort at all. Even if Little Stone came to help, he could only fight to a draw with her. She and their organization's strength. The difference was very far apart. More than 10 years of worry still was discovered. Grandmaster Rong Yun had his hands behind his back, the bright moonlight spilling on his white robe, blurring his beauty. Master, at that time. It wasn't that old witch Yin Xiao you were worried about? Su Luo's heart suddenly jumped, an inspiration quickly flashing through her mind. Chapter 1603. Leave the mainland one. Her? What qualification does she have for this master to worry about? Things had reached this stage. Grandmaster Rong Yun expressed that he didn't plan to conceal it from Su Luo. Back then, the reason I placed you to be raised in Su Manor was to avoid the sharp point of Guixi, but didn't expect this day had come. Everyone's expression was different. So it turned out Su Luo's background had such a deep relationship with the legendary Guixi. Guixi, an existence that terrified the people. All the powers combined on the mainland might not be able to contend with this huge monster. Now its gaze was targeted at Su Luo. Now Bei Qining and Ziyan's gaze had more pity when looking at Su Luo. Guixi Luo Luo, how did you provoke Guixi? Moreover, it was before you were born that you provoked them. What kind of character is this? Bei Qining rubbed his head, gasping in amazement. Are you taking joy in others' calamity? Su Luo's tone was joking, the corner of her mouth hooking up, displaying a brilliant smile. Don't dare, don't dare. Bei Qining immediately split out his tongue. Grandmaster Rong Yun's gaze was deep as he looked towards the sky. After quite a while he left this sentence. Tomorrow set out on the journey to secret roaming dragon territory. So quickly. According to the original time set, there were still 10 more days. Set out on the journey tomorrow afternoon. Grandmaster Rong Yun faintly left this sentence. His chilly gaze swept by Su Luo, then immediately beckoned towards Nangong Luoyun. Don't know what Grandmaster Rong Yun said to Nangong Luoyun. His expression became even worse. His eyes were like 1,000 years of accumulated ice, flashing with a cold light. After Grandmaster Rong Yun finished instructing him, immediately, a white light flashed and his figure disappeared in place. Having such a powerful, domineering, biased and overprotective master, I only have these few words. Envy, hate and jealous to death. Bei Qingying's pair of eyes shone. Grandmaster Rong Yun was absolutely a super strong expert that could call the wind and summon the rain. Originally, every powerful family had agreed to the time. He would de-emphasize to so easily just change it. Naturally, my master is the best under the heavens. Su Luo said very much proudly. He looked extremely handsome, with a cultivation strong enough to grab. On top of being biased and overprotective all towards her. He really was too cute. Only, Su Luo was very suspicious in the end. What did master tell Nangong Luoyun? How was it that his entire person became an ice sculpture standing there, giving off cold air from head to toe? Looking at him made people feel terror. Su Luo quickly walked over, wrapped her hands around his arm and asked in a soft voice. What's wrong? Did master ask you to do something difficult? How could protecting you be a difficult matter? Nangong Liuyun's long, slender, white finger hooked Su Luo's nose. He laughed softly. This laugh was like the flower blooming in the pond at night, as if illuminating all the dark spots in the night, so beautiful that people dared not look straight at him. Then how is it that you look as if you are in a bad mood? Su Luo was not that easy to fool. Luo Luo. Nangong Liuyun hugged Su Luo to him, raising his head to look at the night sky. From the back, one tall, one short figure was like a beautiful ancient painting. Just several brush strokes would create the artistic mood of being far away. Su Luo nestled in his shoulder and softly answered, "If there is a day, I left." Nangong Liuyun's tone was low and hoarse. A strong reluctance made his brows knotted tightly. Su Luo's figure became rigid in an instant. She stared straight at Nangong Liuyun. Because of her emotions, her eyes gave off a cold light. "Don't get stirred up. Listen to me explain slowly." Nangong Liuyun's finger softly caressed Su Luo's head of soft hair, as if he was stroking his most beloved spirit pet. His tone was soft as silk. "We may have to be temporarily separated for a period of time. Rest assured, it won't be long." Chapter 1604. Leave the mainland to when? Su Luo immediately grabbed Nangong Liuyun's hand, her eyes staring fixedly at him. At this moment, her heart had a very bad premonition. Don't be anxious, at least it has to be after returning from the secret roaming dragon territory. There is still some time. Detecting Su Luo's nervousness and care, Nangong Liuyun raised a brow, very pleased with himself. "Why? You can't be without me for even a little bit of time? Stop being so narcissistic." Su Luo humped twice, then restrained her expression and looked at him with a deadly earnest expression. Her tone had a trace of heaviness. "Does it have anything to do with Wuxia?" Su Luo wasn't stupid. After this matter of Wuxia assassinating her happened, Master instructed Nangong Liuyun several sentences, very clearly. It had something to do with Wuxia, but a problem that even Master found somewhat thorny. Based on Nangong Liuyun's current strength, what could he do to Wuxia? Su Luo unblinkingly gazed at his pretty, deep star-like eyes, her eyes full of worry. "Don't worry, believe in me, okay?" Nangong Liuyun gave a light laugh and rubbed Su Luo's head. "How could I not worry?" Su Luo's eyes hung down, as she mumbled under her breath. After learning about Wuxia's inside information from those black-clothed people, Su Luo's horizon could be considered to have broadened. "Even if you don't believe in me, you should at least trust your master, right? Do you think Grandmaster Rongyun will harm me?" Nangong Liuyun's arm extended out and placed Su Luo in a hug. The corner of his mouth hooked up faintly. "This I can't say for sure." Su Luo muttered. Master was always cold. Besides her, everyone else in his eyes was equal to being invisible. Nangong Liuyun knew Su Luo's thought was stubbornly stuck here. He smiled, but he hugged her even tighter. His Luo Luo finally clung to him, and hated to be parted from him. He was really blessed. After returning to her room, Su Luo tossed and turned. She couldn't sleep. Tonight's matter gave her a very strong shock. God knows why she was being chased and killed by such a strong organization. No one could be calm. Not to mention, Su Luo got the news that very quickly, Nangong Liuyun was about to leave her. Su Luo tossed and turned, couldn't sleep. Her mind was full of the black-clothed people's figure. Wuxia, such a strong organization of killers. The entire mainland almost let them come and go unobstructed. But why were they fixated on her? Could it have something to do with her mother that would enchant 10,000 man? If it was really like that, Su Luo could only be resigned to having bad luck. After all, almost everything could be chosen. Only you couldn't select your own parents. Even if it was bad luck, she could only brace herself, prop herself up and continue. As long as she thought of Wuxia, that huge power, a heavy stone seemed to press down on Su Luo's heart. The pressure was heavy, however, pressure was a powerful force of motivation. This moment, Su Luo became even more determined to become stronger. Su Luo's eyes were tightly closed. Her soul flew into her space and started day after day of cultivation. The time in her space was slow by 10 times from outside. Therefore, even one night of time, with regards to Su Luo, was a full 10 nights long. Unconsciously, the light of dawn penetrated the darkness. From the east appeared the marbled colors of dawn. But immersed in cultivation, Su Luo had no concept of time. She still diligently cultivated. Unknowingly, noon had passed. Everyone had gathered on the battle stage except for Su Luo, this group of people. Luo Haochen had his hands behind his back. Gaze narrowed impatiently and said in a cold voice, "How is it some people are still not here yet? Do they not want to go?" Li Aochen looked at Luo Haochen, then looked at Grandmaster Rong Yun, calmly sitting there sipping tea. The corner of his lips hooked into a smile with unclear intention. Maybe something happened on the way that delayed them. Chapter 1605. Leave the mainland. 3 Dongfang Xian, having heard this, gave a sneer and didn't reply. If the person here was changed to someone other than Grandmaster Rong Yun, how would Su Luo's group dare be late? Just because Grandmaster Rong Yun pampered her. So she would do as she pleased. But only half of these thoughts was correct. Seeing Grandmaster Rong Yun's attitude, if Su Luo didn't come, then this team definitely wouldn't set out. Talking about it back and forth. Who told Su Luo to have such good luck to get such a good master? Impossible to get, even if you were envious. Southern Mountain. The lukewarm afternoon sunlight shone on the ground. Hundreds of flowers bloomed in the courtyard, beautiful and alluring. Su Luo slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear and bright as if washed by water. The corner of her lips hooked into a satisfied smile, as she mumbled to herself. Finally reached intermediate 9th rank. Hope I can have a fortuitous encounter in the hidden secret dragon territory. This way, there is hope that I can advance to the 10th rank in a short time. Guixi, this huge mountain, pressed down on Su Luo's head, giving Su Luo a hard-to-imagine pressure and motivation. Outside the door, Bei Chening and Zi Yan had already made the appropriate preparations. All kinds of food and drinks were stuffed into their space bags. There were even crystal stones for cultivation, weapons and so on. Let's go. Nangong Luyan looked at the time, his lips hooking into a laughing smile. If it weren't for Su Luo having gotten a very biased master, just arriving late, this part wouldn't be so easy to pass. As a result, the 4 people used their fastest speed to rush to the arranged meeting place. Luo Haoming looked at them, his eyes full of naked provocation. What time of the day is this now? If we continue to wait, the sun would have set. The corner of Li Aochen's lips hooked into an icy sneer, and gave a humph in agreement. Before Su Luo could say anything, Grandmaster Rong Yun's pitch-black eyes were like snow swords shooting towards Luo Haoming. Don't want to go? For words were enough. Just these 4 words. The dissatisfaction and provocation in those 3 people's hearts was completely pressed down. Especially Luo Haoming, whose eyes hung down, not daring to say another word. He knew, based on Grandmaster Rong Yun's temper. Say he won't bring him, then he definitely would leave him behind. Luo Haoming's heart was angered to death. But his face only showed a peacefulness like water. He still had to bow and apologize. This person should not speak out of turn. Ask Great Master to forgive me. Grandmaster Rong Yun's ice-cold gaze swept by everyone's face. The surroundings seemed to be depressed by a heavy pressure. No one dared to say another word. Grandmaster Rong Yun's gaze looked towards Su Luo. Based on his gaze, he naturally could see that Su Luo's cultivation had progressed quite a bit. Girl, do you need to delay for another month? The frigid Grandmaster Rong Yun from just now, when facing Su Luo, had a gentle and compassionate smiling expression of a master. Luo Haoming and them were so jealous that they almost went insane. Do you have to make it so obvious in the difference in treatment? Being so thoroughly biased? Asking them to come so early in the morning didn't matter. Now, actually consulting Su Luo, that loathsome girl's opinion. They were completely certain that if Su Luo said yes, then the time would definitely be pushed back by 1 month. Momentarily, Luo Haoming's 3 people, 3 pairs of hawk-like gazes all stared fixedly at Su Luo's pair of red lips. Very much afraid she would answer with something that would make them helpless. To delay another month. Su Luo's finger seemed to accidentally tap her cheek, as she muttered to herself. Great aunt, stop testing us. Luo Haoming's 3 people all stared anxiously at Su Luo. Then, Su Luo only said one word, and the cheek muscles on those 3 people's faces trembled. Really don't need to. Su Luo looked at their appearance and wanted to laugh. The corner of her mouth hooked into a ghost of a smile as she looked at them. Chapter 1606. Leave the mainland for. Miss Su Luo, just now my words were somewhat inappropriate. Ask Miss to be forgiving and don't take offense. Luo Haoming could give and take, actually apologizing to Su Luo. Su Luo found it laughable and glanced at him, lifted an eyebrow slightly, then said to Master, "Then don't need to." A smile appeared on Grandmaster Rong Yun's clear and cold face, and he rubbed Su Luo's head. "Listen to you, let's go." As a result, the group of people quickly flew towards their destination. In the early morning of the second day, the group of people finally arrived. Now, appearing before everyone was a vast azure ocean. As far as the eye could see was the ocean, couldn't see an end. Can it be that the entrance to the roaming dragon's secret territory is here? Ziyan pulled Su Luo and asked in a low voice. "We're not going to jump down from here, right?" Su Luo was speechless. Shouldn't be like that. According to her understanding of Master, he wouldn't let everyone search without a destination. Grandmaster Rong Yin brought the group to walk towards the pier. Along the way, they encountered several middle-aged people carrying fishing gear. This place was a little village by the sea. Because their ancestor wanted to shun the world, so they lived in seclusion here. Speaking of which, the villagers' strength here wasn't weak. But compared to their group, Su Luo's group's strength was clearly a lot higher. The fishermen saw so many strong outsiders come, and immediately, every one of their hairs stood on end and started to guard against them. But Grandmaster Rong Yin acted as if they were not there and, full of concentration, walked past, giving these people the cold shoulder. In the end, who are these people? Why did they come to our fishing village? Don't tell me they are here to carry out a vendetta? Doesn't seem like it from their manner. Don't tell me they are here to search for treasures? Our ancestors have lived here for so many years. Do you really think there are treasures here? If there really were treasures, our ancestors would have dug it out 800 years ago. Then that's strange. These people, one after another, seem to be stronger. Huh. They are heading towards the ocean in the back. The back of the ocean, with regards to these fisherfolk, was a forbidden area. Because that area was near the sea territories, not only did it have a countless number of submerged rocks, it also had a moving whirlpool. The rolling whirlpool was very dangerous. From ancient times to now, it had swallowed a lot of living beings. So afterwards, the ancestors passed down orders, not allowing anyone to go to the back of the ocean. This order was passed on from one generation to another, deeply ingrained in the fisherfolk's minds. So when they saw this group of mysterious strangers going in that direction, they were all surprised. One among them even ran towards the village to invite the strongest grandfather in the village. Now the group of people was standing in the village's forbidden area back of the sea. This place, the color of the ocean was clearly deeper than the other place before, a dark deep blue color. The entire sea surface had a strange calmness, as if it had no living aura. Don't you feel this seawater is very strange? Ziyan asked Su Luo in a low tone. Yes, it feels lifeless. Su Luo's brows puckered up. Just now I probed it a bit. The sea here doesn't have a single living creature, including plants. Just at this moment, a whirlpool suddenly jumped out. Momentarily, all the seawater rushed towards the whirlpool. The tranquil sea surface suddenly surged up violently. Just at this moment, that grandfather quickly walked over, supported by another person. Don't know what noble errants bring sirs and madams from afar to here? The grandfather was extremely old, his hair and beard was all white. Only his face was childlike, full of spirit. The grandfather had always been trusted and respected in the fishing village. He had always been worshipped and revered here, but in front of Grandmaster Rong Yin, he felt somewhat helpless, unable to be useful. Chapter 1607. Leave the mainland 5. In his 100 years of life, this had never happened. The strong expert in front of him was strong to what degree? Just one glance from him gave birth to fear in his heart. Enter the sea. Grandmaster Rong Yun said these two words faintly. The grandfather kindly advised. If you guys want to enter the sea, how about entering from the front? This place, the wind is high and has rolling waves, full of rocks. There is also a turbulent whirlpool. It really isn't the best place, ah. Who knew? Grandmaster Rong Yun only waved his hand, hinting to the grandfather that there was no need to be so talkative. He had his own measure. The grandfather helplessly sighed. These several people's strength were all on the top. To be sacrificed like this in vain, wasn't it a pity? So he once again persuaded patiently. Back then, a countless number of people died going into the sea from here. Everyone should listen to this old man's words. Don't be so willful, ah. Grandmaster Rong Yun's gaze landed on the grandfather's body. The grandfather, at most, was fourth rank in strength. Just extending his fingers he could kill him. However, Grandmaster Rong Yun only smiled at him. Old man is being overly anxious. Grandmaster Rong Yun gazed up ahead, a heavy expression flashing through his eyes. Immediately, both of his hands started to form seals. A strong fluctuation spreading in all directions from his body. The originally surging waves of the ocean in front, all at once, quieted down. Now everyone held their breath with rapid attention. Gaze closely watching the sea surface up ahead. Grandmaster Rong Yun's hand condensed out a strong wave of air. Soon after, this wave of air shot towards the ocean like lightning. Immediately, the ocean seemed to be cut by a strong knife and split. With the whirlpool at the heart, one side going towards the left and the other side going towards the right, the seawater rushed rapidly towards the two sides. Very quickly, in the middle appeared a passageway that would allow two people to walk shoulder to shoulder. The surging seawater was actually split in the middle by someone to divide out a passageway. Now, the grandfather used a pair of shocked eyes to stare at Grandmaster Rong Yun. Eyes bulging as if they were about to fall out. Is this a person or a god, ah? His cultivation was strong to the point of toppling the mountains and overturning the seas. Su Luo's group of people all looked at Grandmaster Rong Yun with worship and excitement. Too awesome. Actually able to split a passageway from the middle of the ocean. How strong must this person's strength be to reach this stage, ah? Grandmaster Rong Yun's expression was indifferent. As if this kind of matter, in his hands, was a piece of cake. He faintly glanced at Su Luo. Why haven't you quickly gone in? Oh. Su Luo nodded her head like a little chicken pecking at rice. Quickly, she walked to that clean passageway. The most awesome part of Grandmaster Rong Yun wasn't splitting aside the seawater. Rather, he actually split the whirlpool that was in the middle. After the whirlpool was split, very quickly, a glowing transparent ball of light appeared. That transparent ball of light was about 10 meters tall, giving off light that was hotter than the sun. It had a fatal attractive force. But Su Luo could feel that it had a force that swallowed one's strengths. Could this ball of light be the door for teleport? Su Luo asked the question in her mind. And Grandmaster Rong Yun nodded faintly. This place is the teleport gate to Roaming Dragon's secret territory. Be careful after you enter. Grandmaster Rong Yun patted Su Luo's head, telling her carefully. And Su Luo nodded seriously. Male on the left, female on the right. Grandmaster Rong Yun, in an ice-cold manner, stared at Dongfang Xian who walked towards the right door. The ball of light had two doors, one on the left, one on the right. Luo Haoming and Li Aochen exchanged a glance. Could there be a difference between the right and left door? Dongfang Xian smiled sinisterly, taking advantage that Grandmaster Rong Yun wasn't paying attention. His figure suddenly flashed by. Chapter 1608. Leave the mainland 6. Now he was only an arm's distance away from the right side gate. He believed that based on his speed, he could definitely flash in. But unfortunately, he underestimated Grandmaster Rong Yun's strength. Grandmaster Rong Yun lifted a palm towards Dongfang Xian, and immediately, a fluctuation rapidly sprang up. Dongfang Xian, who had half a foot through the teleport door, was forcefully pulled out from that door. Still able to be pulled back after entering the teleport gate? Everyone looked at Grandmaster Rong Yun in disbelief, as well as with worship such that they almost kneeled. How could someone be strong to this degree? Su Luo proudly raised an eyebrow. This was her master. Grandmaster Rong Yun's clean handsome face hooked into a cruel smile. Still want to go or not? Dongfang Xian was lifted in Grandmaster Rong Yun's hand, his expression dispirited. A towering rage roared in his heart, but his face had to assume the air of a weak person's posture. This almost made Dongfang Xian insane from anger. Ask Grandmaster Rong Yin to be lenient. At that time when Family Master knows, he definitely will generously reward you. Dongfang Xian's eyes hung down, covering up the deep hatred within. Long Qingtian? This seat will definitely go. Ask him to make this matter clear. Grandmaster Rong Yun coldly gave a smile that wasn't one. Long Qingtian was very intelligent among their generation, but actually taught out such an idiot. Of course Dongfang Xian can't die. Keeping Dongfang Xian alive, he will be able to laugh at Long Qingtian for a lifetime. Grandmaster Rong Yun thought up to here. His hand used strength and directly tossed Dongfang Xian into the teleport gate on the left side. At this moment, Su Luo was saying her goodbyes to Nangong Luyin. Foolish girl, we'll see each other very soon. Nangong Luyin pinched Su Luo's pink and tender cheeks. But I have a bad premonition. How about I talk to Master so you can also walk on the right side? Su Luo proposed in a low tone. Humph. Grandmaster Rong Yun's ice-cold snort could be heard. The corner of Nangong Liuyun's mouth hooked into a smile, and he left a kiss on Su Luo's bright and clean forehead. Then he immediately turned around and walked into the teleport gate. Bei Qining and the others also entered, one after another. Master, why should we split up? Can I go together with Nangong Luyin? Su Luo pulled at Grandmaster Rong Yun's sleeves. Her eyes looked at Master with plaintiveness. Wait until after you've entered, then you'll know. Asking now is useless. Grandmaster Rong Yun smiled mysteriously. Immediately after, he pushed her towards the teleportation gate. He watched those two figures disappear in a flash. After disappearing in place, Grandmaster Rong Yin gave a long sigh. Just now he seemed to have forgotten to remind them. The left passageway had experts at the Saint rank. The corner of Grandmaster Rong Yun's mouth hooked into a smile. Immediately after, he ripped apart space, and his figure suddenly disappeared in place. After Grandmaster Rong Yun left, the seawater that was originally split apart broke out into a strong rumbling sound instantly. Soon after, the seawater rushed to the middle. In an instant, that passageway that would allow two people to walk shoulder to shoulder was submerged. The seawater became tranquil as a lake. The dangerous whirlpool turned as before. The masses watching on the shore seemed to have their acupuncture set, standing there foolishly. The grandfather returned to his senses after quite a while. Miracle, simply a miracle. The matter just now seemed like a magical dream. It gave him a huge shock. The fisherfolk on shore, their eyes flashed with light as they discussed this miraculous event. This matter after today, no one is allowed to talk about it. Otherwise, they will be punished by the clan's laws. The 7 clan leaders gave a deep sigh, and gravely ordered. Just now, although that strong expert didn't say anything, but the grandfather who had long learned the way of the world was very clear. If the matter of the vortex was discovered by other people, their fisher village would have a hard time resuming its tranquility. Chapter 1609. Master being partial. 1. After entering the transparent ball of light, Su Luo felt her mind become dizzy. When she opened her eyes again, she saw a long corridor in front of her. The corridor was about 2 meters high and 2 meters wide, enough for 2 people to walk side by side. This corridor was very long, so deep that you couldn't see the end. The corridor wall was embedded with a countless number of night pearls that gave off bright lights in the darkness. Therefore, they could see very far ahead because of this light. Where is this place? Ziyin curiously sized up her surroundings, turning around to ask Su Luo. I'm not sure either. Master didn't tell me anything before coming. Su Luo released her spirit force, sensing the surrounding environment. Only then did she let her guard down to say with a smile, for the time being, there is no danger here. Since the road is in front of us, then we should go over there. Walking to the end can always find out its mystery. Ziyin nodded. Let's go. Go to the front and have a look. This corridor seems to be very long. Just don't know if Nangong's group is alright. The unease in Su Luo's heart became more and more intense. Definitely won't be as safe as us. Ziyan said in a matter-of-course manner. Why are you so certain? Su Luo looked at her with misgivings. You just think about it. How partial is your master, ah? Just now, Dongfeng Xian wanted to enter on this side, but he was directly tossed out. It can be seen that this passageway is safer than the other one. Your master is thoroughly biased and overprotective of you. He would definitely set aside the best for you. Do you even need to think about this? I have good luck by touching your light. Right now, Ziyan was very glad she was female. This is just your guess. Maybe this passageway of ours has hidden mysteries. Su Luo didn't believe it. Then just wait and see. Ziyan happily laughed, pulled Su Luo along and walked forward quickly. Don't know if it was because Ziyan's intuition was accurate or Grandmaster Rongyan already had arranged it earlier. Su Luo and Ziyan walked hand in hand forward while being on guard. After walking for about 4 hours, along the way, besides quiet, it was more quiet. The night pearls still illuminated the road ahead. The entire passageway was as bright as daytime. However, the dangers Su Luo anticipated didn't approach. Another hour passed, and the amount of night pearls gradually lessened. It seems we are close to the exit. Best make preparations to fight. Su Luo said in a low tone, and instructed Ziyan. And I know. Ziyan's whole body was on guard. Her hand gripped the weapon tightly and followed behind Su Luo. She slowed down her footsteps and quietly followed up. The night pearls decreased one by one. In the end, none remained. The passageway up ahead became increasingly narrower. In the end, it was only wide enough for one person to pass through. Very quickly, in the darkness, a light up ahead suddenly flashed brightly, then suddenly become dark. Su Luo and Ziyan exchanged a glance, their eyes becoming more serious. The two people silently neared it. After getting near it, Su Luo discovered this wasn't the entrance to the tunnel, rather, it was a ball of white light. It was somewhat similar to the entrance from before. It can be assumed this ought to be the teleport door. Also, as a space mage, Su Luo had a natural familiar feeling towards this space element ball of light. Come. Su Luo lifted a brow and smilingly said to Ziyan. Enter this teleport door, roughly, we'll arrive at the roaming dragon's secret territory master was talking about. Really is strange. Along this road we didn't come across an ant. I didn't even have the opportunity to come across people to practice my fighting skills. Ziyan proudly said. Want to practice? Wait until we exit this teleport door. I dare to pledge, it really will let you practice until you have had enough. Su Luo in annoyance slanted a gaze at Ziyan, who had an expression of having gotten an advantage yet still flaunting it. Soon after, she linked hands with her and slowly entered the ball of light. Chapter 16:10, Master Being Partial, 2. After a burst of dizziness rocked them, when the two of them opened their eyes again, the scene in front of them had completely changed. Walking out of the teleport array, the two were stunned by the scene in front of them. Such a beautiful ravine. This was a ravine surrounded by hundreds of types of blooming flowers. On an intoxicating spring day, all kinds of flower petals fell, like a beautiful mist. As if this was a utopia that shunned the world, that made a person's heart untroubled and relaxed. To forget the noisiness of the mortal world. Subconsciously wanted to live here in seclusion for a very, very long time. What a beautiful place. This was simply too much of a feast for Ziyan's eyes. Between heaven and earth, there is such an outstanding beautiful hidden place. Really hateful that we didn't know about it before. You see. Su Luo pointed at a huge boulder not far and said to Ziyan, we have really entered the roaming dragon's secret territory. Because on that 30 meters tall huge boulder was carved 4 dignified words in black with strong, powerful strokes, roaming dragon's secret territory. How is it that they haven't come yet? Could it be they really encountered danger? Waiting left and right, those people still hadn't arrived. So Su Luo and Ziyan searched for a rock and sat down to rest. Su Luo even took out a food box she prepared before and shared it with Ziyan. But the two waited for a whole 2 hours, and still didn't see the several people that entered the left passageway. Su Luo's expression couldn't help but be anxious. Rest assured, based on third senior brother's strength, what could possibly be too difficult for him? Although Ziyin comforted Su Luo, but her heart was also anxious. I'm not worried about this. I'm worried Dongfang Sun's group made a hidden move. Su Luo put down the bread she took one bite of, really didn't have any appetite. This really. Ziyin also felt this was a thorny problem. If those three people joined together, third senior brother alone would really not be able to endure. Bei Qining was only at the 9th rank. He could only hold for several seconds of time among them, and nothing more. Don't know if Bei Qining, that foolishly cute person, would be in danger. Forget it. What did him being in danger have a hair of relationship with this lady? Instead of worrying about him, the time was best used to eat and drink her fill. Having made up her mind, Ziyin, this girl, started to make a pig out of herself. Su Luo speechlessly looked at her. You already drank 3 bowls of this chicken congee. Only then did Ziyin put down her chopsticks and walked back and forth in place. What are you doing? Su Luo was dizzy from watching her walking around and helplessly asked. Letting the food digest. Ziyin replied righteously. She couldn't tell Su Luo she was worried about Bei Qining, the little bastard that lacked a conscience, right? Time passed bit by bit, but the people they were worried about and anticipating didn't come. The two people's expression became more concerned, but the passageway wasn't something they wanted to enter and could enter. They simply didn't even know where the door was, so they could only worry helplessly outside. Suddenly, a slight sound came from close by. Su Luo and Ziyin exchanged a glance. Soon after, the two quickly rushed in that direction like the wind. The space opened, and a badly mangled body rolled out. Luo Haoming? Su Luo looked at the person closest to her, ignored him and stood on tiptoes with head raised to look inside. Luo Haoming was wounded to this degree. Don't know if Nangong was also injured? Su Luo's heart was anxious and extremely worried. If she could go in, she would have arrived, rushing in like a bullet. Very quickly, Su Luo felt her eyes blur. Just at this moment, another body rolled towards her. Liaochen? How can it be you? Su Luo pushed aside Liaochen, who was swaying around, and stood with great difficulty. Chapter 1611. Master being partial. 3. How was it that the people she was worried about won't come out, whereas the people she disliked came out one after another? What kind of luck was this? A pity. Liaochen's whole body was covered in blood. He had crawled up with great difficulty, but was pushed to the ground in passing by Su Luo. He almost got angry from being aggrieved. But once he thought of his current miserable condition, he could only firmly cover up his anger. Whoosh! Another soft noise sounded. Su Luo rushed towards that figure full of emotion and expectations, but she froze in place after taking half a step. Dongfang Xian actually was this gloomy, ruthless male. Dongfang Xian was wearing a white robe. Before, it was clean and spotless, but now a huge part of the sleeves were torn off, and there was a dark red bloodstain on his right hand. Very clearly, he had also received some serious injuries. Seeing this, Su Luo's brows were already tightly puckered up. Luo Haoming, Liaochen, Dongfang Xian, these three were at least at the 10th rank. Dongfang Xian was at the summit of the 10th rank, but able to wound them to this degree. It could be seen that the opponent's strength was very strong. In the end, what happened in the passageway? Where's Nangong Luyan? Su Luo picked up Liaochen, who was closest to her, by the collar. The pitiful Liaochen was just thinking of sitting cross-legged to cultivate, but was lifted up by Su Luo as if she was casually lifting things. This kind of action was simply looking down on him, making him seethe with anger. But Su Luo's pair of grave eyes stared at him like sharp swords. She had an expression of, if he didn't talk, she'd eat him. Liaochen was helpless. He only waved his hand. Still inside, rest assured he won't die. Liaochen finished saying this, and Su Luo still wanted to say something, but once again saw another figure dodge out. Bei Qining. Ziyin wanted to rush up but recalled the embarrassment between the two. Her footsteps halted. Just at this time, Su Luo had already quickly rushed up and caught Bei Qining. Didn't let him tumble heavily to the ground, saving him the pain. Su Luo didn't say anything else and directly stuffed an emperor-level healing panacea into Bai Qinying's mouth. Bai Qinying originally wanted to spit out blood, but after this medicinal pill entered his stomach, the healing effect was very outstanding. Very quickly, he was able to open his eyes. His eyes were half opened with great difficulty. Exhaustedly, he said to Su Luo, "Nangong didn't die." Bai Qinying knew. What Su Luo really wanted to hear were these words. Therefore, even if he wanted to pass out, he still used up the entire strength in his body to say this to Su Luo to calm her heart. The effect of the medicine very quickly started to show results. Bai Qinying still sank into a deep sleep. Blood-clotting pill. Dongfang Xian's eyes flashed slightly and stared at Su Luo with deep interest. Urgently and excitedly he asked, "Is what you just feed that guy blood-clotting pill?" Su Luo's gaze indifferently swept across his face, calm as if she was a river. Soon after, her gaze stared fixedly at the teleport gate exit. A total of 5 people went in or came out. Although their bodies had injuries all over, seemed to be serious injuries, but at least they came out whole. How was it that Nangong Luyan still hadn't came out? In the end, what happened inside? I asked you a question. Just now, was that blood-clotting pill or not? Dongfang Xian impatiently shouted at Su Luo. No one had ever ignored Dongfang Xian in this life. Since he could remember things, everyone had followed him obediently like yes-men, because he had a master whose martial arts was #1 in this world. But now, Su Luo was too lazy to even glance at him. This made Dongfang Xian, who was always full of self-confidence, feel very upset. What does that have to do with you? Su Luo's brows were tightly knotted, impatiently sweeping him a glance. Even if it is blood-clotting pill, there is none for you. Chapter 16:12. Master being partial. 4. Su Luo's words almost choked Dongfang Xian to death. Dongfang Xian's eyes were sharply provoked up, as he stared at Su Luo. In its depths, lava seemed to erupt out, like fire snakes dancing in the wind. Su Luo was too lazy to even look at him. She was completely focused on staring at the teleport gate. But people could only come out of the gate, and she couldn't go in, otherwise she would have already rushed in. But waiting back and forth, Nangong Liuyun's figure still didn't appear, and a killing intent flashed through Su Luo's eyes. In the end, what happened inside? What did you guys encounter? Su Luo's gaze was sharp as a dagger, fiercely stabbing towards Li Aochen, who was closest to her. Now Su Luo and Ziyan were unharmed, while Li Aochen's body was covered in wounds. This was what was called a wise man submits to circumstances. Li Aochen, at this moment, didn't sulk about his body. His tone was icy, but he still told her everything that happened inside. We entered the left passageway. Just when we entered, we were attacked by an 8th-ranked 4-eyed green cicada. After that, was a 9th-ranked hidden viper. Later, it was a 10th-ranked golden-armed brown bear. Li Aochen's gaze swept over Su Luo and Ziyan. Seeing their dress was clean without a speck of dust, he suddenly realized. Your passageway didn't meet with these things? Su Luo and Ziyan exchanged a glance. They didn't even encounter an ant in their passageway, let alone to say what 4-eyed green cicada, 9th-ranked hidden viper, 10th-ranked golden-armed brown bear. There wasn't even a shadow. Ziyan really said it correctly. Master really was too partial to her. Su Luo's heart surged like a gathering storm, but her expression was calm like water, and she unsympathetically swept Li Aochen a glance. Afterwards? Li Aochen gave a cold snort. Afterwards, we saw the light of the teleport gate, and also at this time, we encountered an expert of saint strength. What? Su Luo and Ziyan cried out in alarm. Saint-ranked expert? What kind of concept was this? Completely the recreation of elder ancestor Mo's original strength. Last time, in order to save her, Nangong Luyan forced out the mysterious strength sealed in his body, and fought tyrannically with elder ancestor Mo. He was heavily injured as a result, all the bones in his body fracturing. Such serious injury, it had just completely healed after the roaming dragon list competition. Now he was going to fight with another saint-ranked expert again. When Su Luo thought of this, her heart became extremely anxious. You guys left him inside and ran out by yourselves? Su Luo's palm was placed on Li Aochen's head. If she was even a little dissatisfied with his answers, the force in Su Luo's palm would attack Li Aochen's acupuncture point, and she would let him breathe his last. Li Aochen's figure became stiff as he forced himself to coldly humph. That 9-armed hidden golden ape's strength was tyrannical. It only felt Nangong Luoyun was worthy, so its target had always been Nangong Luoyun. It was also because of this that they were able to take advantage of the opportunity to escape. Otherwise, their lives would have already been lost in there. Su Luo's gaze swept towards Bai Qining. On his back was an obvious footprint. Clearly, at the critical point, Nangong Luoyun kicked him out. Su Luo's gaze once again landed on Li Aochen's body. Her gaze was ice-cold as she vowed. Since you dare to become a deserter, then go die. Su Luo's palm flashed with white light, and a strong spirit force rushed up, which was just about to smash towards Li Aochen's forehead. Li Aochen was scared until his face became ashen. Just at this critical moment, suddenly, a tiny sound aroused Su Luo's attention. Nangong Luoyun. Seeing a black figure walking out of the teleport gate with large steps, Su Luo excitedly pushed Li Aochen away and, with quick steps, ran to Nangong Luoyun. Chapter 1613, Master Being Partial, 5. Compared to the several people who either rolled out, crawled out or was kicked out, Nangong Luoyun's entrance was very dazzling. He took large straight strides, step by step, steadily and with strength, walked towards Su Luo. He was wearing a black robe, so people couldn't see if there were injuries or bloodstains on it. His pace when walking was steady, without a trace of difference. You finally came out. I've been worried to death. Su Luo quickly went up, tightly embraced him at the waist, burying her little head in his chest, greedily sniffing that good smell that belonged specifically to his body. Foolish girl. Nangong Luoyun's arms gathered together and hugged Su Luo tightly to him, quietly listening to the beat of her heart. This time, if he didn't have a resolute and must-win determination, if he wasn't worried he would go just like this, and how his Luo girl would face being chased to be killed by Guaci, this type of organization. If it were not for these matters, Nangong Luoyun might not have been able to hold on. I heard you guys encountered a saint-ranked expert? Su Luo inhaled through her nose, her beautiful eyes full of concern and deep worry. Saint-ranked magical beast. Nangong Luoyun's sculpted handsome chin tilted up. Come for you. Su Luo looked at that entirely black crystal stone that was like a black cloud, her heart throbbing faintly. Her breathing froze for an instant. This is... Su Luo's pair of eyes stared at that black-colored crystal stone with a fatal attractive force. She felt this black crystal stone contained more spirit force than any crystal stone she had seen before. That's right, this is the crystal stone from a saint-ranked magical beast. Nangong Luoyun's eyes were full of waves and looked at her with a smile. Your man's spoil of war. Why haven't you accepted it and put it away safely by now? Su Luo originally wanted to refuse, but hearing the last half of Nangong Luoyun's words, her eyes immediately shone. Okay, then I'll accept it. Wait until I find some good stuff in this roaming dragon's secret territory. I'll give the best to you. Su Luo smilingly happily accepted that black crystal stone, putting it away carefully like the most precious treasure. She once heard Master mention it before. After magical beasts reached the commander rank, the crystal stone inside their bodies would be black-colored. Wait until they get promoted to saint rank, the black color would become more intense. The strength it contained would be even more powerful. Wait until it reached the monarch rank. The color of the crystal stone in their bodies wouldn't change into another color. Rather, it would be an even more intense black, like the night sky before dawn, so dark it was translucent. So Su Luo was able to recognize it at a glance. This crystal nucleus that Nangong Luoyun gave her was at the saint rank. But with regards to Blue Sky Continent, a saint-ranked crystal nucleus from a magical beast was very rare. Even Master didn't have many. So this crystal stone was precious to an extreme degree. Su Luo was very clear about it in her heart. So, when she looked at Nangong Luoyun, her eyes were flashing full of light. In fact, this crystal stone would be more useful on his body. Foolish girl, as long as you like it, it will be good. Nangong Liuyun's slender, jade-like finger hooked her nose. Are you about to cry tears of joy? Who's crying? Su Luo pushed him aside in annoyance. But this push by her almost made Nangong Luyun unsteady when standing. You. At this moment, Su Luo was so upset she wished she could hit herself with a fist. How could she be so foolish? Nangong Luyun said his body was fine. How could he really be fine? This man always silently endured in a cold manner, but was deeply passionate inside. He liked to bury the pain deep in the bottom of his heart, okay? Su Luo unhappily sent him a glare, and hurriedly fished out that blood-clotting pill. She poured out 3 in a row and forcibly stuffed them in Nangong Liuyun's mouth. Chapter 16:14, Master Being Partial 6. Don't need to be so wasteful, 1 is enough. The corner of Nangong Liuyun's mouth twitched speechlessly. In fact, having just 1 was extravagant. In fact, as long as he used all his effort to cultivate, the condition of his injuries would automatically recover completely. After using the blood-clotting pill, his strength would be completely restored within 3 days. Emperor-ranked blood-clotting pill. How precious was it? Su Luo, in 1 move, took out 3, even Nangong Luyun. This kind of person who didn't put medicinal pills in his eyes, wanted to loudly shout that it was too extravagant and wasteful. Dongfang Xian, who wasn't far away, watching this, his eyes became even colder and filled with violent envy and greed. Blood-clotting pill. Emperor-ranked blood-clotting pill. Dongfang Xian fumed with rage, shouting while stressing each word. Dongfang Xian remembered it very clearly. At that time, for 1 Grandmaster-ranked blood-clotting pill, he had fought with someone for 7 days and 7 nights. In the end, he won by a narrow margin, and that was only a Grandmaster-ranked blood-clotting pill. But now Su Luo, this loathsome girl, had a full bottle of blood-clotting pill, making people all fired up from seeing it. Just now, she forcefully stuffed 1 into Bai Qinying's mouth. Now, she wanted to give 3 to Nangong Luyun. Did she really think those pills were just sugar beans? How was it that she didn't know to treasure it? Dongfang Xian was angry, furious and envious. His face was flushed red. His eyes were like 2 thick ignited flames, blazing with light. Su Luo heard the sound and calmly returned his gaze, then leisurely said 1 sentence. No matter how much you shout, it's useless. There is no blood-clotting pill for you. Would she really be that stupid as to not know the importance of the blood-clotting pill? Only for the people Su Luo truly cared about would she take out the most precious things, to disregard the quantity and consequences to help them. As for those people that Su Luo drew to be outside her circle, even if they died, she wouldn't give them a second glance. She would just so clearly distinguish between them and the enemy, to continue on her way, and to kill with a firm temper. Su Luo, how about we make a business transaction? Dongfang Xian knew, because of Li Yaoyao's relationship from the beginning, he stood on the opposite side of Su Luo. This was very disadvantageous to him right now, so he wanted to try and reverse the situation. Able to be flexible was a visible characteristic of a manly man. It could be said that this point, Dongfang Xian was pretty good at. After Nangong Luyun sat down cross-legged to heal, Su Luo unhurriedly arrived in front of Dongfang Xian. Her eyes had a taunting sneer. Business transaction. This man wanted to kill her because of 1 sentence from Li Yaoyao. Now, wanted to have a business transaction with her? It was really interesting. Su Luo crossed her arms over her chest, chin tilted up slightly, looking down at him to cast sideways glances at him. Her icily arrogant manner showed her doubt. Dongfang Xian really hated to death Su Luo's looking down on him attitude. But now he needed to request something from her, so the icily arrogant him had no choice but to lower his voice and his arrogance. Yes, a business transaction. Then you say, what kind of business transaction method? Su Luo's corner of her eyes lightly swept over, and said with unconcern, what do you want so you can give me 1 blood-clotting pill? As long as I can do it, you can name the condition. Dongfang Xian gave Su Luo an opportunity to open her mouth wide like a lion. This condition I can name at will? You are really generous, Su Luo rubbed her bright and clean chin, as if she was thinking about it. After muttering to herself for a short period, a narrow expression flashed through her monochrome eyes. Soon after, They fixed on him as she unhurriedly said, "I can really say any condition?" Luo Luo must not. Bei Chening, who was already healed, opened his eyes and firmly blocked. Luo Luo, if you give him the blood-clotting pill, based on the condition of his injury, he would very quickly be restored to his best condition. At that time, the problem would become thorny. Nangong Luyan needed at least 3 days to recover. Chapter 16-15 Master being partial 7. Su Luo nodded towards Bei Chening. She was very clear about Dongfang Xian's temperament. Right now, he was a feral wolf whose stomach rumbled with hunger. Once this feral wolf had eaten his full, and was restored to his original strength, the first thing he would do was to snatch away all her things. And don't count on him to be capable of being grateful. Dongfang Xian was just that kind of person. Su Luo, with a ghost of a smile, cast sidelong glances at Dongfang Xian. Any condition is okay? Dongfang Xian's face had a smile that glittered brilliantly. Of course. With regards to you, the blood-clotting pill is merely a small piece in the bottle, but as far as I'm concerned, this tiny piece is already very important. Therefore, you can ask for any condition. Then if my condition is Liao. Su Luo was all smiles as she looked at him, observing the tiniest expression on his face. It was very hard to see that Dongfang Xian's brows rose up slightly, although it was restored to its serene expression in an instant. But Su Luo, who was observing every detail, still discovered it. Su Luo secretly guessed in her heart, looks like Li Yaoyao was still rather quite important in Dongfang Xian's heart. Don't know what kind of foresight the master of Purgatory City used to accept disciples. This first senior brother and the second senior brother all had deep feelings towards Li Yaoyao. Comparing them, her family's Nangong Liuyun's foresight was the best. However, Dongfang Xian used his real feelings on Li Yaoyao. Don't know if it could be compared to this blood-clotting pill. Yaoyao, your condition is? Dongfang Xian's expression was as peaceful as water. The corner of his mouth hooked with a demonic charm, giving people a kind of sinister and ruthless feeling. I heard you are almost married to Li Yaoyao. Is this matter true? In any case, Su Luo would be bored staying idle. Then she might as well talk about this and that with Dongfang Xian. I will marry her. Dongfang Xian's voice was firm as iron. Then do you want Li Yaoyao or the blood-clotting pill? Su Luo, smiling happily, took out that bottle of dazzling blood-clotting pill from her sleeves. She poured one out into the center of her palm. Emperor-rank blood-clotting pill gave off a rich medicinal fragrance, full of a captivating force. Taking one gaze at it made people unable to shift their gaze. Couldn't help but say that Emperor-rank blood-clotting pill. Every pill had its own unique charm. Dongfang Xian subconsciously swallowed a mouthful of his own saliva. A struggling expression quickly flashed through his eyes. Looks like you are going to choose Li Yaoyao. Su Luo smiled happily as she put the blood-clotting pill back, unhurriedly covered it with the oak cork. Soon after, she tossed the entire bottle into her sleeves. If I said I choose the blood-clotting pill, Dongfang Xian's gaze unblinkingly stared at Su Luo. If he had the emperor-ranked blood-clotting pill, it was equal to having an extra lifeline. This, with regards to Dongfang Xian, was an incomparable fatal attraction. Now, his eyes flashed as he stared at Su Luo with sinister ruthlessness, such as a trapped beast like a wolf. That at any time, he would attack with a dangerous nature. You really want to choose blood-clotting pill and not Li Yaoyao? Su Luo expressed her disbelief. Li Yaoyao's belly still is pregnant with your Dongfang family's bloodline. Like this, you are still willing to abandon it? You, this loathsome girl, not only wanted him to abandon Yaoyao, even forced him to abort his bloodline. In a flash, Dongfang Xian sank into an indecisive situation, because he really couldn't decide in a short period of time. Don't be anxious, there is plenty of time. You ponder it over slowly. Su Luo turned around and walked away. She walked a few steps and stopped again. If you really want the blood-clotting pill, then after we get out of the secret roaming dragon territory, you have to personally break it off with Li Yaoyao. Naturally, I will offer the blood-clotting pill with both hands. Tossing down this sentence, Su Luo quickly left, leaving behind Dongfang Xian sitting in place with his brows knotted and a tangled expression on his face. His hand was tightly clenched. Chapter 16:16. Master being partial. 8. Looking at the beautiful image of Su Luo leaving, Dongfang Xian's fist was clenched tightly. A cold light dipped in poison burst from the depths of his eyes. Emperor-rank blood-clotting pill. He must get a hold of it. Now, in order not to disturb these several peoples cultivating, Su Luo's group sat around, neither too far nor too close to Nangong Luyin. Before, Beichening seemed to be badly mangled, but all those were just superficial wounds. He didn't have any serious internal injury. After having the emperor-ranked blood-clotting pill, he cultivated a day and was once again healthy and active. Luo, you guys weren't injured? How was it possible? Their team of 5 people couldn't beat that saint-ranked magical beast, and each of them was seriously hurt to the point of close to death. Could it be we must be injured? What kind of logic is this? Su Luo innocently blinked her eyes, expressing she didn't understand. No. Could it be you guys didn't encounter a magical beast? Didn't fight with them? 2 little girls. It was unreasonable they weren't even a little injured. What magical beast? We simply didn't even see a single ant. Ziyan proudly put both hands on her hips. Who told you to be born a boy, with no way to follow us and walk into the right side passageway? Can't be right? Didn't see even one ant? Beichening was extremely shocked. Their passageway, from the moment they entered, there were magical beasts. It was equivalent to them fighting from beginning to the end. They grandiosely wiped them out along the way. They didn't even have the time to take a breather. Don't say an ant besides us. There weren't any kind of living creatures from the outside. Moreover, it was a peaceful long road. We talked while walking. Time flew and we arrived in this valley. Speaking to here, Ziyan felt very superior, as expected. Following Su Luo, there was meat to eat. When Luo was eating meat, it was even okay that she drank the soup. Compared to Beichen Ying's team, she was simply blessed. You guys, alas, Grandmaster Rongyun is too partial. This is completely different treatment. Moreover, the difference is so clear. He didn't gather all the magical beasts in you guys' passageway and put them in our passageway, right? Beichening speechlessly looked to the sky. How was it that he didn't have such a master with outstanding strength that could cover the rain with the flip of his hand, and be so magnanimously partial? Had no choice but to say Beichen Ying's accidental sentence actually hit on the truth. Grandmaster had superior understanding of space law and cultivation in it. He could even lift back Dongfang Xian, who had half a foot into the teleport gate. Naturally, he had ways to concentrate all the magical beasts in the passageway in one place. If it wasn't set in the laws of heaven and earth, he could absolutely come and go in this roaming dragon's secret territory unobstructed. Following this, Su Luo and Ziyan could continuously hear Beichen Ying repeatedly point to the sky, cursing and complaining how Grandmaster Rongyun was too partial. A pity. No matter how he vented, next time, if Grandmaster needed to be partial, he would still be partial. Who told Su Luo to have such good luck? To have a mother that spread 10,000 seeds that enchanted 10,000 people. This was called being involved with someone, and everyone connected to that person. Time passed day by day. Today it was already the 3rd day. These 3 days, Nangong Luyin had continuously sat with his leg crossed, sinking into a selfless state of cultivation. After 3 days of restoration, Nangong Liuyun's body was completely healed. Moreover, his cultivation also forged ahead even more. There is only 3 months of time in roaming dragon secret territory. After, don't know what we'll meet. We should quickly set out. Beichen Ying suggested to everyone. His words received everyone's agreement. Dongfang Xian's group didn't have emperor-ranked blood-clotting pills assistance. The condition of their injuries weren't completely recovered, but they weren't far from full recovery. Time was limited. There hadn't been anyone who explored roaming dragon secret territory. There also weren't any predecessors who experienced it. In the end, what was ahead? They had no inkling. These 3 months of time was really rushed. Chapter 16:17. Master being partial. 9. The valley had a gentle cool breeze, and sunlight that gave warmth. However, after leaving the valley, turning to the back of the valley, It was a totally different scene. If the valley they had passed through was like a heavenly paradise, then this mountain peak would absolutely be a dark hell. Ancient trees reached the sky, the forest covered the earth and hid the sky. Up front were large groups of numerous spiders. Such large spiders! Ziyan almost exclaimed out loud. These were not ordinary spiders, their size was very large, about the size of a soccer ball. The whole body was a reddish-purple color with a sinister and terrifying appearance. The forehead was sharp, full of angles, with a pair of eyes that was a deep, dark green. Being stared by one would make a person's heart tremble from the chill, let alone to say a large number of spiders. Hidden-eyed purple spider. Luo Haoming said in a low voice. Hidden-eyed purple spider was an 8th-ranked magical beast. The Spider King's strength was at a formidable 10th rank. Hidden-eyed purple spiders' strength were tyrannical. Separately, each of their fighting strength wasn't strong, but combined together so densely packed, they were a very terrifying existence. Not far up ahead is an overhanging cliff with a bridge made of metal links. This road is the only way to get there. If we want to pass, we must kill all of these hidden-eyed purple spiders. We need to kill enough of them that they would rather escape when hearing of our news. Dongfang Xian's expression was gloomy. Eyes that would chill a person to the bone swept Su Luo's sleeves. All along, what he was most concerned about was still the emperor-ranked blood-clotting pill in Su Luo's sleeves. So right now, he needed a chaotic fight to let him take advantage of the disorder for personal gain. Otherwise, with Su Luo always following by Nangong Liuyun's side, he simply didn't have a chance. But he would have never imagined. Su Luo had already tossed the emperor-ranked blood-clotting pill into her space. How could she give him this opportunity? Now there were more and more hidden-eyed purple spiders, from the original rare few to now, where the entire scene was densely covered by them. The king of the hidden-eyed purple spiders was hidden in the piles of densely packed hidden-eyed purple spiders. No one knew which one was the king, but he did indeed exist. Because these hidden-eyed purple spiders needed a leader to command them. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The movement in the forest became more and more. Very quickly, as far as the eye could see, were all hidden-eyed purple spiders. Nangong Luyun, with one move, pulled Su Luo to behind him, and in a low voice exhorted. Not allowed to leave further than within a meter's range. Did you remember it clearly? And I know. Although hidden-eyed purple spiders are horrible, but the most horrible is a person's heart. Su Luo pointed at Dongfang Xian. If it was possible, she would have already killed Dongfang Xian. It's a pity that in the previous battle, he wasn't seriously wounded. Based on her and Ziyan's strength, they might not be able to beat him. Let alone there was still Luo Haoming and those other unknown characters, so Su Luo didn't make a move at that time. It's good that you know. Nangong Liuyun's remote and cold eyes swept past Dongfang Xian. As a result, Su Luo knew Nangong Liuyun's plan. If possible, he doesn't mind seizing the opportunity to eliminate this first senior brother that had always wanted to harm her. Seeing the hidden-eyed purple spiders were about to rush over like a tide, Nangong Liuyun's eyes wrinkled slightly. In a coldly correct tone he commanded, "Fight!" Once this order was said, everyone gathered in a circle, facing out in all directions to launch attacks. Momentarily, there were wind blade technique, storm technique, explosive fire technique, horizontal sea of fire, freeze over thousands of miles, 9 thunderous lightning hiss. A countless number of elemental attacks rushed in all directions. The hidden-eyed purple spiders were only 8th ranked, but a great majority of Su Luo's group were at the 10th rank. Nangong Luyun was at the commander rank, so when he launched an elemental attack, those hidden-eyed purple spiders that were close to him turned into dust. Even the body was burned until it disappeared. Very quickly, a safe range of 100 square meters was cleaned up around them, while the hidden-eyed purple spiders eyed them covetously outside this range. Chapter 16:18, Master Being Partial, 10. The hidden-eyed purple spiders never expected the enemy's attacks would be so strong. That king directly ordered the assault to stop. Meaningless sacrifice, with regards to it, was unnecessary. As a result, the battle paused momentarily. What is that thing? Su Luo pointed to those little stones that were giving off light. Those little stones were smooth as jade. The light they issued were very pleasant looking. Nangong Luoyun extended out his hand. His white as jade, sculpted and slender fingers seemed to have a bewitching power. He rotated his 5 fingers, and a sudden burst of wind headed towards his fingertips, and a white as jade little stone then fell into his hand. Take it for you to play with. Nangong Luoyun spoilingly helped her tidy up her slightly messy hair. Su Luo happily nodded her head. Dongfang Xian and Li Aochen coldly swept a glance at Su Luo. Miss Su, now is the time of battle. Can you be a bit more serious? While fighting, picking up things to play with. Who indulged this temperament of yours? Su Luo hadn't replied when Nangong Luoyun's long arm extended and fastened Su Luo into his embrace. Long and narrow phoenix eyes swept past, as he arrogantly raised his chin. Indulged by me, you have a problem with it? His Highness Prince Jean speaking, he should just say it, but he actually issued that unparalleled commander-ranked powerful deterrence. That strong pressure was like a huge mountain peak as it heavily pressed towards Li Aochen's back. In a split second, a thin layer of sweat appeared on Li Aochen's forehead. The sweat condensed into beads, tumbling down drop by drop. Now Li Aochen's forehead, neck and the back of his head. Any place that the skin was exposed, you could see line after line of veins protruding out. Under the skin, faint traces of blood appeared. As if the next second, his body would explode into fragments. Li Aochen's complexion was pale. When he looked at Su Luo, his eyes had a threat of reverence. Seeing that both knees were about to kneel down in the end, he grinned and bore it to apologize to Su Luo. Miss Su, forgive me for spouting my mouth off. Soon after, 2 pow sounds came from him slapping his own face. Hissed Ziyan sucked in a cold breath of air. Handsome, third senior brother was too handsome, okay. This deterrence force of who dared to say a bad word about my family's Luo Luo would make your body explode. TSK really was too formidable. Ziyan's eyes went straight from watching this, eyes flicking radiantly. Su Luo was also somewhat shocked. But she immediately pulled at Nangong Luoyun's sleeves. Her smiling face was like a flower. Indeed, I am also somewhat wrong. Let's just forget about this matter. Nangong Luoyun would defend her like this. To her, it was the most important thing. As for what would happen to Li Aochen, she didn't care about it. Only now was the time to battle. Li Aochen could be considered a force, losing it would be a pity. Nangong Luoyun lowered his head. Pampering and warmly, he hooked Su Luo's nose. Whatever you say. This deeply attached appearance. Was this fucking the same person as that fiend-like Azura from hell just now? Wasn't this changing of the face too fast? Wasn't this difference in treatment too obvious? Bei Chening gave a thumbs up towards Nangong Luoyun. Too awesome. Before, how was it that he never found that Nangong Luoyun, this guy, had the potential to be an emotional saint? Su Luo rolled her eyes in annoyance at Bei Chening, her hands tossing the little stone as she carefully examined it. Is there a problem? Nangong Luoyun lowered his voice to ask. I always feel that this little stone, although it doesn't have spirit aura, has no use for cultivating, but feeling. In short, I really like it. Su Luo lifted up her face, smiling brilliantly. Chapter 1619, Hidden-Eyed Purple Spider 1. You like it, then all of this belongs to you. Nangong Luoyun simply didn't consult with other people. One only saw his pair of hands flip over like the clouds, very quickly, within a range of 100 meters. Those hidden-eyed purple spider's body that had been turned to dust was dispersed by the wind. Those plump and cute stones all piled up in front of Su Luo. So many. Looks like more than 1,000. Su Luo very satisfiedly waved her hand and tossed these little stones into her space. Tsk, such rubbish really took it as treasure. Dongfang Xian taunted provocatively. Since you look down at these stones so much, then later, all the hidden-eyed purple spiders that are killed will belong to me. Oh, don't fight over it with me. Su Luo tauntingly sneered. These rubbish, collecting it still takes up space. You want, then just take it. Dongfang Xian's mouth curled up disdainfully. This is what you said. Oh, when the time comes, don't fight over it with me. Oh. Su Luo's mouth hooked into a ghost of a smile. Humph. Dongfang Xian gave a non-committal humph. Su Luo's gaze swept Lu Haoming and Li Aochen. You want it, then take it. It's not some real treasure, take it all. Luo Haoming at this time started to act like a good person. In fact, the three of them didn't have space bags. These rubbish stones didn't have spirit force. How inconvenient was it to carry on the body? Therefore, able to take this opportunity to give Nangong Luyan a favor couldn't help but be a good thing. As a result, Luo Haoming and Li Aochen both nodded to express their consent. A trace of craftiness and self-satisfaction flashed through Su Luo's monochrome eyes, but in a flash it disappeared. Not waiting for them to say more, Su Luo's sleeves jerked up. Soon after, she collected all of these stones into her space. Looking at the very clean surface of the ground, Su Luo's face spread out into a smile at Nangong Luyan. All gone. Okay, then continue to battle. Nangong Luyan spoilingly pinched Su Luo's pinkish, tender and snow-white cheeks. His smile dazzled people. Soon after his order, they once again launched a new round of attacks at the hidden-eyed purple spiders, which were stealthily approaching. The hidden-eyed purple spiders were also not stupid. This time, they gathered even more of their companions, densely packed together. They besieged Su Luo's group. This time, Nangong Luyan played the leading role. A countless amount of spirit force was emitted out. One group after another of hidden-eyed purple spiders fell backwards like kites that had broken strings. Crackle, Nangong Luyan grasped a ball in his hand, and a countless number of lightning flickered around the ball, giving off sizzle-crackling sounds. Boom, a lightning hacked down towards a group of hidden-eyed purple spiders. Immediately, close to 100 hidden-eyed purple spiders turned into dust. Soon after, a countless number of white-colored stones burst out from their head, finally pilling into a huge circle. So many stones! A nicely surprised expression flashed through Su Luo's eyes. And Nangong Luyan rubbed her head and smilingly said, "These are all yours, do you like it?" "Like it." Su Luo smiled like a flower. "Then let's continue." Nangong Luyan smiled contentedly, then once again in passing hooked Su Luo's jade-like nose. Right after, Nangong Luyan used another powerful move. Crash, another round of noise sounded. The perfectly satisfied Nangong Luyan was able to display his strength to an even higher degree. The hidden-eyed purple spiders fell down in large piles. Pure white little stones appeared, pile after pile, in front of Su Luo. Awesome! Su Luo repeated excitedly. She also started to move. Chapter 1620, Hidden-Eyed Purple Spider. 2. Su Luo coldly smiled, and her figure suddenly rushed up, fast as lightning. One after another, flames danced out of her palm, the flames filling the whole sky. Whoosh whoosh, with an intense whizzing sound. The flames arrived, carried by the wind. This flame was formed from a countless number of flames. Its strength was incomparably strong. One only saw a countless number of hidden-eyed purple spiders being enveloped, swallowed by the powerful flame. The hidden-eyed purple spider's mouth gave off sharp mournful screams, rolling about on the ground in pain. After they were burned until nothing was left, Su Luo waved her hand, and those little stones became objects in her purse. The hidden-eyed purple spider, seeing its own children and grandchildren crying bitterly, a thread of rage flashed through its eyes. One only saw it burst out a world-shaking scream. This sound, Su Luo's expression changed slightly, suddenly having a bad premonition. Nangong Luoyun's brows also rose up slightly. His perceptions had always been very accurate. Suddenly, his head lifted up to look at a place not far away. At that place, dust rose up like smoke. What is that? Beichening suddenly felt all the hair on his body stand on end from fear. Seems to also be a hidden-eyed purple spider, Ziyan said, with some uncertainty. Very quickly, everyone knew the answer. That tide-like things rushing towards them were also hidden-eyed purple spiders. Moreover, their size was bigger and much stronger in strength. Luo Haoming's expression sunk. These hidden-eyed purple spiders are all at 9th rank. Wanting to win over them won't be easy. Moreover, after the battle just now, our spirit force have been used up until almost nothing is left. To continue like this isn't a good method. Su Luo heard Luo Haoming's meaning being that able to retreat was best, and to quickly run. But Su Luo's gaze turned to the ground. Those densely packed hidden-eyed purple spiders were very attractive to her. No way, if she was to leave like this, she wouldn't be able to get those little stones. Although she didn't know what use were those little stones, however, her sixth sense told her it definitely had a big usefulness. Su Luo thought a bit, then took out a bottle from her chest pocket. Momentarily, everyone's gaze concentrated on this bottle Su Luo took out. This is Grandmaster level Spirit Restoration Pill. Just one pill and all the spirit strength will be restored in your body. Su Luo's smiling gaze swept over everyone's body. Her bottle of spirit restoration pills weren't just one or two pills, but a countless number. Oh! Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. How could Grandmaster level spirit restoration pills be of so little value? Fish out, and it was a huge bottle. In their impression, a tiny bottle was enough to make them envious and make their hearts jump to start a battle to the death. But Su Luo, she casually could take out Grandmaster level spirit restoration pills. Moreover, it was a huge bottle. At this moment, Dongfang Xian and the other two all stared at Su Luo with envy, jealousy and hate. Come, everyone get one per person. If it's gone, I guarantee you'll have enough. Like dividing candy, Su Luo gave each of them one. Luo Haoming had one in hand, his fingertips trembled unnoticeably. Grandmaster level pills, just got it so easily? This simply was too unbelievable. Li Aochen accepted the pill. His eyes flashed, profoundly mysterious, don't know what he was thinking. When time to split one for Dongfang Xian, Su Luo noticed his repeatedly flashing eyes, and couldn't help but secretly smiled. But on the surface, her expression remained calm as she broke the pill into two, then gave half of it to Dongfang Xian. What are you doing? Dongfang Xian said in a towering rage. Why did everyone get a whole pill, and only he got half a pill? This was unfair. As a result, Dongfang Xian, panting in rage, protested. Chapter 1621 Hidden-Eyed Purple Spider 3. Protest is ineffective. Su Luo gave a cold humph. Want it or no? If you don't want it, then I'll take it. It also saves me from wasting medicinal pills. This is a Grandmaster level pill, very hard to come by. Oh. Hard to come by? Everyone silently looked at Su Luo's whole bottle, then silently turned their face away. They looked at the lonely pill in their palm. Why do they all get one? Only I get half a pill. Not fair. Dongfang Xian once more argued noisily. Su Luo's chilly gaze swept towards him, looking him up and down. Her gaze made the bottom of his heart feel fear. What are you doing? Dongfang Xian didn't pause to humph. Because you are too ugly. Su Luo's mouth hooked into a ghost of a smile. What? Dongfang Xian was shocked. I said because you are truly too ugly. Therefore, you only deserve to receive half a pill of Grandmaster level spirit restoration pill. Su Luo proudly twirled around, and her dress flew as she arrogantly swaggered off. I'm too ugly. Dongfang Xian was furious. Although his looks weren't as good as Nangong Luyan, but what was ugly about him? In any case, taking his facial features out to the world, at least it's the standard beautiful flowery male look, okay? Actually said he was ugly, too hateful. Bai Chen-ing and Ziyan, seeing this scene, both held their bellies and burst into loud laughter. Ziyan even gave her a thumbs up. Luo Luo, you are simply too wonderful. All these years, I have never seen first senior brother eat a loss. Too amusing. Of course, don't look to see who I am. If I weren't too busy beating these hidden-eyed purple spiders, I'd be disinclined to take care of him. Su Luo proudly raised a brow. Dongfang Xian, Luo Mingho and Li Aochen, one spirit restoration pill could buy her such a good thug to throw away their lives for her in hard labor, simply too worth it. Now the hidden-eyed purple spiders assisting army also arrived. After taking a breath and swallowing the spirit restoration pill, everyone's vigor rose up. Once again, it was restored to its original full state. Dongfang Xian silently looked at half of the spirit restoration pill in his palm. He lifted his head to glare fiercely at Su Luo, then suddenly stuffed that half a pill into his mouth. Even though it was half a pill, it was still good. Wasting it would be a pity. Dongfang Xian's action naturally didn't escape Su Luo's eyes. Seeing Dongfang Xian unwillingly swallow that half of a spirit restoration pill, the smile at the corner of Su Luo's mouth expanded. Then, everyone once again battled with the hidden-eyed purple spiders. Nangong Liuyun's body rolled in the air, dropping down the lightning balls in his hand. Immediately, that group of intimidating and full of vigor hidden-eyed purple spiders lost 1/3 of its members. At this moment, don't know if the king of the hidden-eyed purple spiders suddenly became smart and realized that Nangong Luyun was the strongest among this group of people. The king also discovered that Nangong Luyun cared the most about Su Luo. Therefore, the formidable and savage spirit force in his body burst out, rushing toward Su Luo in an earth-shattering manner. Nangong Liuyun's figure stood steadily in mid-air, looking at that savage king of hidden-eyed purple spiders, the corner of his mouth hooked into a demonically charming sneer. To capture the thief, one must invite the king. One didn't expect that the hidden-eyed purple spiders had such wisdom. Nangong Luyun, this king, most cared about was Su Luo. Wasn't that saying that among this team, the most important person was Su Luo? A cold light flashed through Nangong Liuyun's eyes. His finger gesture in the empty air, very quickly, a roaming dragon lightning danced out. Go! The roaming dragon-looking lightning was several meters long. In a split second, it rushed towards the king of the hidden-eyed purple spiders. In a short period of time, the body of the king of the hidden-eyed purple spiders was wrapped tightly into a ball by a countless number of lightning. Whimper, whimper, the king of the hidden-eyed purple spiders whined in pain and rolled about on the ground. 1. Capture the thief. One must invite the king. This probably referred to in order to capture a group of thieves you must draw out their leader. If anyone has other explanations, feel free to post. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.